At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Miami Marlins. New York Mets baseball on this Independence Day is presented by Tito's Handmade Vodka. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka, America's original craft vodka. Visit us at titosvodka.com. By New York Lottery, take a break from the expected. Play scratch-off games from the New York Lottery. By Toyota, get big savings at Toyota's Red, White, and Blue sales event. Toyota, let's go places. By Geico, over 75 years of savings and service. And by Bob's Discount Furniture, shop in store or online at mybobs.com. America's 240th birthday. How do you spend it? The grill is out, and there's a lot of different stuff on the grill. Take your pick. Some grilling, some baseball. And the Mets accommodate with a game today on Independence Day. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and a happy 4th of July. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you today as the Mets open a 3-game series against the Miami Marlins. The Mets come off their walloping of the Cubs, a 4-game sweep. The Mets outscoring the Cubs 32-11. It kind of came out of nowhere after 2 months of offensive struggle. So I guess the question is, how do the Mets best carry over the success of the last 4 days into the weeks to come?
Well, I think the best way for them to do that, now we look at this series full of home runs, full of hits, but I think even more importantly than that for Terry Collins' crew is that they have to start to put the ball in play with 2 strikes. They have to start to hit the ball the other way. Even if they're hits with 2 strikes, they still work. And the reason I say that, the home run we've seen so far this year comes and goes. But the ability to put hits together, string them together, 22 hits yesterday, that's how you're going to produce the results that happened over the 4-game stretch against the Cubs.
And so the Mets find themselves only 4.5 games out of first place, with the Nats having already lost today. They'll send Matt Harvey to the mound. Matt faced the Nats his last time out, and it was a very encouraging start before it ended because of a rain delay.
It really was. Terry Collins said he liked his velocity was up. He liked his arm swing. He liked the depth in his breaking ball. Everything was better than it's been all season long. Hopefully he can keep that going today.
Mets haven't seen any pitcher over the last 4 years more than they've seen the local product, Tom Kohler.
Yeah, from New Rochelle High School. Tom Kohler, 15 starts against the Mets in his career, only 2 wins, but he's had a couple of real strong games against his hometown team.
The Marlins just a game and a half behind the Mets in the standings. They start a 3-game series on the 4th of July. It's the Mets and Marlins, all the action coming your way today on SNY. Tito's Handmade Vodka, America's original craft vodka, distilled from corn and is naturally gluten-free. Come visit us at titosvodka.com. Be at Citi Field this Saturday, July 9th, when the Mets take on the Nationals at 7:15 p.m. The first 15,000 fans will receive a Mets fedora, courtesy of Gulf. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. Mets get set to play some baseball on this Independence Day. Mets and Marlins, Matt Harvey on the mound. First pitch coming right up. Start of the year, he's gone through some tough times this year, but seems to have come out the other side. Mets wearing their special July 4th uniforms, as is everybody in Major League Baseball today. And with all the runs the Mets put up the last few days, we'll see if there's some left over from Matt Harvey, who's been the victim of the worst run support in the major leagues this year.
2.5 runs a game, right?
Really been the story of his entire career. Lifetime ERA 2.88, lifetime won-loss record 29-28. That does not really compute. And he's got the white shoes going. Back to the Joe Namath tribute. Well, the Marlins come in at 43-39. Here's their starting lineup. The catcher JT Realmuto has started in every spot in the batting order except ninth. He's hitting leadoff for the 9th time this year. The Marlins have 5 300 hitters in their lineup today against Matt Harvey.
Well, Harvey's only 1-7 against the National League East this year. Look at his Land Rover numbers. He got to 10 losses quicker than any pitcher, Mets pitcher, since Anthony Young in 1993.
Oh, that's not what you want.
No, never.
AY, who lost 27 in a row.
That's
JT Realmuto getting set to lead off for Miami.
And defensively for the Mets, Brendan Nimmo, who played center field in the minor leagues, has only played left and right here for the Mets. Cespedes and Granderson. Double play combination of Cabrera and Walker up the middle. Of course, Cabrera had a day off yesterday. Flores with the 6 hits. What a day, yes, yesterday. And Travis d'Arnaud back in there catching.
Don Mattingly's team playing, I think, better than most people would have expected when you consider the struggles of Giancarlo Stanton and the absence of D. Gordon.
Well, I think that Mattingly is maturing as a manager, getting better and better, and I think he's happy to be out of that cauldron that was Los Angeles. Terry Collins today was addressing the most difficult job in the world. That's putting together the All-Star game roster.
He said it's rewarding, but it's the hardest thing because you know you're going to leave out people who are deserving. So here's Real Muto, who this year became the first Marlins catcher ever to bat leadoff. Marlins are now in their 24th season, and no catcher had ever batted leadoff before, but you can see why from those numbers. .344 on base percentage, and he has better speed than your average catcher. Matt Harvey set to go, and his first pitch on this 4th of July is too high for ball 1. And we're underway. Matt's one start against the Marlins this year. He pitched brilliantly, got matched up against Jose Fernandez, went 7 innings, allowed 1 run, and lost 1-0. Real Muto starts the game with a base hit to center field.
Well, Real Muto gets jammed here. The reason he has better speed than most catchers, he was an infielder most of his young baseball life, and they made him into a catcher. So great athleticism behind the plate.
And he can steal a base too. 6 steals in 8 tries. So Harvey will be wary of that as Martin Prado steps in. Prado's 7th in the National League with that .320 batting average. We mentioned that the Marlins have 5 300 hitters in the lineup. 3 of the top 10 hitters in the National League are the top 3 hitters in the order today: Real Muto, Prado, and Yelich. And a double play ball if they hurry. Walker makes the tag and makes the toss. 2 men down. Real Muto making no effort to avoid getting tagged out. 4-4-3 double play.
Real Muto, if you're the runner, you got to do one of 2 things. You either have to beat the ball to the spot. 3 things, sorry. You can run him over if you want, but that's not done anymore. Or the third, and what he should have done, you stop and make him chase you back to first base so he can't get 2.
So just like that, 2 out and nobody on. And Christian Yelich will bat with the bases empty. Yelich having a fine year. .315, 9th in the league. That .399 on base percentage is 7th in the National League. And he has really come of age at just 24 years old. Off the plate at 96. And gets the strike call, 1-1. And you see what Harvey's done against the NL East and what the other starters have done. Of course, what Matt wants is a level of consistency having nothing to do with who the opposition happens to be on a particular day. He had such a dreadful run of things for about a month, but his last 6 starts he's worked to a 2.27 ERA.
Well, what makes sense, though, in those starts, his velocity is kicked up. Maybe that's why he's pitching better.
Averaged 96 against Washington, his highest fastball velocity of the year, as Yelich bangs one off his leg, a foul ball. Matt's been able to keep it in the ballpark. 8 home runs allowed this year, but none in his last 35 innings. One and 2 to Yelich, and he comes inside at 96. 2-2. Marcelo Zuna hits cleanup. Giancarlo Stanton 5th in the order these days for the Marlins. It's a Marlins team that leads the National League in batting average, but is only 11th in the league in runs scored. 2-2 coming, and it's up and away. And one of the reasons is because Stanton is not having a Stanton-like year and cashing in all those hits with home runs.
You're right, and they're having similar problems as the Mets are with runners on base.
2 out and nobody on. 3-2 to Yelich, and he struck him out. Harvey with a changeup fans Yelich for his first strikeout of the day. And the Marlins are done at the top of the first. Mets come to bat with no score. For a July 4th afternoon, Curtis Granderson, who hit second yesterday, back in the leadoff spot today. Brandon Nimmo dropped to 7th. Travis d'Arnaud and Asdrubal Cabrera back in after a day off yesterday, as the Mets face the New Rochelle native Tom Kohler.
We see the Toyota numbers. Really what you have to know about Kohler, his last 2 starts, he gave up 4 runs in each of the first innings. So Mets looking to jump up quickly.
His first inning ERA this year is 7.31. Curtis Granderson making friends, posing for selfies.
How do you do that?
It's the first pitch in the air to left field, and Christian Yelich is right there waiting, and backpedals to make the catch. So we saw that all day yesterday. Outfielders seemingly under the ball and then having to backpedal at the last moment.
See the defense behind Kohler this afternoon. Coors Light defense. Christian Yelich, Ozuna, Stanton, maybe the best young outfield in the National League with the Pirates. Prado, Echeverria, Dietrich, and Johnson. The infield for the Marlins did not make an error in 28 straight games. And JT Real Muto is throwing out about 40% of the would-be base stealers.
Here's Neil Walker, went 6 for 17 in the series against the Cubs. By the way, the Cubs have found a very quick solution to their problems. They went back up against the Reds this afternoon. They have an 8-1 lead in the 6th inning.
It's like the Nationals, right?
Well, the Reds fired their pitching coach, Mark Riggins, today. They have the worst pitching in baseball. Not sure that that's his fault, but somebody had to be the fall guy.
Well, all the hits that they've given up, a lot of walks also.
Yoenis Cespedes waits on deck. And Walker pulls one down to first. Chris Johnson handles it, and Kohler gets over to cover, and quickly there are 2 out. Justin Bour out of the lineup for the Marlins. He sprained his ankle night before last. That's why Johnson's playing first base. And that's a big boon for Matt Harvey.
It really is. He's one of the big bats in that lineup that provides power for these Marlins.
So here's Cespedes. Yoenis riding a 7-game hitting streak. Last 23 games hitting .352. And 2 of the Mets' 22 hits yesterday. The 22 hits the Mets put together yesterday tied the club record for a home game. The only time before they had 22 hits in a game was back in 1981 against the Cardinals, a game they almost lost. Cespedes tops one foul. The Cardinals took a 6-5 lead in that game on a Mookie Wilson error in the top of the 9th, and then Mookie hit a 2-run walk-off home run in the bottom of the 9th to win it 7-6, which was the Mets' 22nd hit of that game.
Wow.
If those were not great times for the Mets back in '81. Mookie was just emerging on the scene. He and Hubie Brooks. Cespedes pops one up in foul ground. And Real Muto is there, and a very quick inning for Kohler, who had first inning troubles. Not today. 1-2-3 on just 6 pitches. No score after 1. Harvey have not fared particularly well against the opposition in this game.
But it's not all Matt's fault. Those are some pretty good numbers. The ERA and walks, the strikeouts.
Marcell Ozuna leads off the second inning, hitting at .311 for the year. Remember last year he got sent to the minor leagues. It was not a good year for him, but he has broken out in a big way at age 25. 17 home runs, 50 runs scored midway through the season. Marlins last night were in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, playing the Sunday night game against the Braves, a one-off affair. First game in American professional sports history ever played on an active military base. It was kind of a cool thing for them. Slowly hit, and Cabrera to his left. Ozuna is thrown out, one away.
I watched part of that game. It was you're right. It was just so intriguing to me that they were able to put up a stadium on a kind of a deserted old golf course and put it up so quickly. And the only way it could go up that quickly is Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Association were in concert together.
So they're going to keep the field to use for softball and other things, but they're tearing down the stands.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. They were just there for that one game. It's Giancarlo Stanton taking a strike. It has been an odd year for Giancarlo Stanton. He's begun to pick it up a little bit the last 2 weeks, but the batting average at .219 reflects just how difficult it's been for him. I mean, consider that last year he played only 74 games because of injury, and he had 27 home runs. Well, midway through this season, no injuries, but just 15 home runs and 40 driven in.
I mean, he's on pace to have a half-decent year other than the average in strikeouts. I'm talking about home runs and RBI. But we're talking about Giancarlo Stanton here.
From somebody else's perspective, you know, 30 home runs, 80 RBIs would be a nice season. And the curveball from Harvey misses 2-2. The Mets have done a great job against Stanton. He's just 1 for 17 against Met pitching. And in his career against Harvey, he's just 1 for 13. And that goes up high, and that's where the Mets have generally gone to get Stanton.
Well, it's just interesting how he took that pitch. That pitch was really down the middle, not up and in. But it's going to be interesting to see how he plays after that fateful night of getting hit by Mike Fiers.
That's hit hard over the bag and a fair ball right on the chalk. It caroms out to Nimmo, and Stanton's going to have to settle for a single. Ball is overthrown, and Stanton takes off for second. That's a great read by Stanton. He saw that Nimmo had airmailed the throw to second and took off immediately to take the extra base.
Well, this is just a young player, a little too energetic. He wanted to come in and fire a strike to second base. What you have to do if you're an outfielder, if you make an error, it's got to be lower than higher. And Stanton, with a great read, once he saw it was over the head of Walker, he just took the extra base.
So a single, and error on Nimmo, allowing Stanton to move up. And now runner in scoring position for Derek Dietrich. Dietrich's been filling in at second base for the suspended D. Gordon and doing a terrific job offensively. He's late on the fastball from Harvey, 0-1. Dietrich hitting an even .300. He's got a .395 on base percentage, which is top 10 in the league. And one of the reasons it's so high, he's been hit by 17 pitches this year.
Well, he has that arm guard, and he just does not move out of the way of the ball if it's inside. Reminds me a lot of Chase Utley early in his career. Just won't move.
17 and a half a season is a lot when you consider that the big league record by Ron Hunt is 50, and nobody's ever really approached that. And he's been late on 2 fastballs from Harvey.
He likes the ball down, so you can live upstairs against Dietrich.
Stanton at second and 1 out. Chris Johnson, the on deck batter. And Harvey feeds him nothing but fastballs, goes to 98 up high to strike him out. His second strikeout of the day.
Well, that's the velocity you've been looking for all year from Harvey. When he has the rear back and let it go, he can. 98 right by Dietrich. Beautiful four-seamer. Looks like it's almost rising as it comes to the plate.
So 2 out. Stanton still at second. Now Chris Johnson making his 26th start of the season for the Marlins with Justin Bour out of the lineup. Bour tweaked his ankle 2 nights ago, didn't play yesterday. And Don Mattingly held his lineup for a while today to see if Bour would be available, but he's a no-go, might be available to pinch hit. Johnson, who's had some good hitting years in Houston and Atlanta, hitting just .233 this season. Played for the Braves and the Indians last year, and Harvey throws a good slider to get even 1-1. The Nationals played at 11 o'clock this morning in D.C. And obviously the wake-up call never came. They lost to the Brewers 1-0 as Junior Guerra outpitched Max Scherzer.
Well, early in the game, the wake-up call didn't come for the Milwaukee Brewers either.
Well, Craig Counsell apparently was toying with his lineup and toyed a little too much, and the Brewers wound up batting out of order in the first inning. But Martin Maldonado homered for the only run of the game, so the Mets have a chance to pull within 4 games of the Nats if they can win today. As the Mets are also trying to hold off the Marlins, who, as Terry Collins put it, are breathing down their necks. Just a game and a half back. Fell back by Johnson. The other interesting thing about that Washington game today is that Jonathan Papelbon was activated and he pitched the 9th inning.
And you said they sent Michael Taylor out. Talented center fielder.
So there are the standings up to the moment, with the Mets 4.5 back and Miami 6. Mets right now are in the second wild card spot behind the Dodgers. 1-2 coming to Johnson, and he hits it hard and past Lonnie, a base hit. Stanton around third, charged by Granderson. The throw to the plate on a hop is not in time. Throw down to second, and Johnson is tagged out. But the run comes in, and the Marlins lead it 1-0. Johnson telling the dugout that maybe they should think about reviewing the call at second base. Mets are running off the field. Chris Johnson drives in Stanton with the game's first run, and we'll wait to see whether the Marlins challenge the call.
Well, it's almost like Cabrera put down the glove where he thought the leg was going to be, but he was so far on the outside of the bag, he might not have tagged him before he got his foot on the bag. I don't think he did. You know why I say that? It's because he reached back again to tag him after he felt like he missed him, which he did.
And the Marlins are going to challenge the call, and we'll see whether the inning will continue. In any event, it's an RBI hit for Johnson, and we'll see whether Mattingly gets satisfaction and gets his number 8 hitter to the plate with the runner at second base. Play and review brought to you by Mazda. Driving matters.
It's when this replay happens now that everything seems to be in disarray on the field. See how he reached back for him, didn't get him, and then reapplied the tag. And by the time he got it to his calf there, his foot was on second base. Check it from this angle. I don't think he gets him there until it's too late.
I think you're right. Two new umpiring teams are in the bunker in Chelsea. Gary Cederstrom's crew and Jeff Kellogg's crew take over as the new week begins, and they will have that call in their hands as Tom Hallion, the crew chief, has the headset on.
Hey Webby, can we show the field? This is why this replay, not the umpires. Look at the Mets players. They're watching the board, disarray on the field. No one's at their position. Matt thinks, well, I should throw a couple. I mean, how this is entertainment gets by me.
Mets had already come off the field, and then the Marlins decided to challenge, so everything stops in its tracks. There was a review in a game earlier this weekend that lasted 4 minutes and 20 seconds,
wow,
which I think is one of the longer ones we've seen. And now we'll get the disposition of it, and it's overturned, so Johnson is safe at second base on the throw. So the inning continues with a run home for Miami, and the number 8 hitter Adeiny Hechavarria will come up with a man at second base. Hechavarria, who had a career best offensive season last year, not quite as proficient this year. 281 last year, 245 this year. And with the pitcher on deck, the Mets will pitch to him with first base open, and Matt starts him off with a strike.
Got to be careful here though, because Kohler is not a good hitter at all.
I mean, ideally you'd love to have the pitcher lead off the next inning, but Hechavarria, threat, takes up and away.
We saw the Mets in Matt's last start try to walk Danny Espinosa on a 3-2 count, and Matt said no to that. Walked him anyway on a changeup, but
we thought maybe they pulled the Dick Williams move and show intentional walk and throw it down the middle. That's hit out to center field, chasing Cespedes back, way back. It's over his head and off the base of the wall. Johnson is in to score. Hechavarria pulls it with an RBI double, so the Mets with first base open went after the 8 hitter, and Hechavarria makes them pay. It's 2-0 Miami.
You know, there's an art to pitching to the 8th hitter when the pitcher's on deck, and the art of it is that you don't throw a strike. You let the hitter get himself out by swinging at pitches outside of the strike zone, and that one was not out of the strike zone. A good hitting by Hechavarria. Good rebound there by Cespedes.
So 2 runs are home. Hechavarria at second with 2 out. And now Tom Kohler, who's 1 for 25 at the plate this year. So the overthrow by Nimmo set the stage. Johnson picked up the 2-out hit to cash that in. Then the Marlins get a call overturned in their favor, and Hechavarria catches that in. 1-1 to Kohler.
He wears his heart on his sleeve, doesn't he, Nimmo? You know exactly what he's thinking out there.
We've seen a lot of offensive spark from Nimmo, but he's been a little challenged in the outfield so far. He's had a couple of balls get over his head. That time a little over aggressive with the throw. And you don't know how much of that is ability to play the outfield and how much of that is lack of familiarity with the corners since he played mostly center field in the minors.
Nerves have to be a part of it also. You know, when you're trying not to make a mistake, that's when they happen.
1-2 coming, and Kohler takes high, 2-2. So all of these elements here in the second forcing Harvey to work that much harder. He's already thrown 24 pitches in the inning. And now he runs a full count to the pitcher.
Well, you know, remember Harvey, even when he wasn't going good, I remember on this field, he had a good game going. Cabrera threw it away. Maybe one of the few defensive mistakes Cabrera's made all year. Nimmo makes one here. Conforto made a couple. And he doesn't always seem to get past it.
Whereas in the past, nothing got his way.
Hitch up his pants a little higher and go after him.
Third full count the first time through the batting order for Harvey. 3-2 to Kohler. And it's grounded toward the hole. That's a base hit. Echeverria being waved around. Here comes Granderson's thrown to the plate on a hop. Echeverria is safe. Kohler drives in a run, his first of the year, just his second RBI of his major league career. And it's 3-0 Miami.
Well, splits the defense. And Granderson comes up and throws a strike. It's a little up the line, though. And by that time, Echeverria's got good speed. Just gets underneath the tag by d'Arnaud. Granderson playing shallow, doesn't have the arm strength anymore, though, to make this play happen for the Mets and Matt Harvey. Good secondary lead. Didn't need to look back, but he did. Looks back again and again, and still safe at the plate.
You know, when you configure your outfield, most teams will try to put their best outfield arm in right field. But teams take liberties on Curtis Granderson that they just don't take against other major league right fielders.
Just at this point in his career, he just can't throw.
So 3 runs are home in the inning, all scored after 2 were out. RBI hits by the 7, 8, and 9 hitters, and now JT Realmuto, who led off the game with a base hit.
Honestly, the last time I saw an outfielder that was taken advantage of this often was Luis Gonzalez in his last few years with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
But he was playing left field.
That's right.
Johnny Damon was playing left field. Right. Juan Pierre playing left field. You never see a right fielder who gets taken advantage of like that. You know, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that Cespedes feels uncomfortable with the idea of playing right field. And so the Mets have not been able to configure their defense differently. Of course, that comes into play more when Lagares is in the lineup. And they've got an alternate center fielder. 3-0 now to Realmuto. So this inning is just ballooning on Matt Harvey.
You've seen, though, a little bit of this Marlins team that 2-strike hitting is one of their strengths. It's starting to mold themselves a little like the Royals.
3-1 to Realmuto. Well, Barry Bonds, the new hitting coach. They're not hitting home runs like Barry. They're not drawing walks like Barry. But they're getting hits. Best batting average in the National League. 3-2 to Realmuto.
And it had to feel good. It all started this inning by Stanton getting that hit. I don't know what the exit velocity on that line single was, but hit as hard as any ball I've seen Stan hit this season against the Mets.
There's a nice 4th of July trophy. Kohler will run. 3-2 to Realmuto. And he taps one toward the middle of the diamond. That's going to sneak through for a base hit. Kohler is going to stop at second. So 4 straight 2-out hits. That one not hit hard at all. Just found a hole for Realmuto, who's 2 for 2.
Well, interesting about the defense. Cabrera's played way over the pull for Realmuto against Harvey with 95-mile-an-hour fastball. And that's why he's not able to get that ball up the middle. And Kohler is running, and Tom, you got to go first to third here, bro. You have to.
Not a lot of experience on the bases.
Yeah, that's right.
So Martin Prado will be the 8th man to bat in the inning. Harvey trying to pull the shade down on an inning that has provided way too much sunlight for the Miami Marlins. And the Mets are going to get Logan Verrett up early in the bullpen.
And this is after Harvey coming off a start where he only went 3 2/3 innings.
Prado bounced into a double play his first time up, and he hits one on the ground to third, and Flores will take it to the bag, and that retires the side. But not before 3 straight run scoring hits from the bottom of the Marlins batting order, and they lead 3-0 in the second. Nothing as we go to the bottom of the second inning. James Loney will lead off for the Mets. We'll check in with Steve Gelbs. His report today is brought to you by Fidelis Care. Steve?
Gary, top half of the inning, you guys were talking about that Fort Bragg game last night for these Marlins. Somewhat of a quick turnaround for them as they got into New York in the wee hours of the morning and then played an afternoon game here today. But sometimes what gets lost in the shuffle is what a quick turnaround it also is for the visiting clubhouse attendance here at Citi Field. And they go about their business in an anonymous way, but they certainly work just as hard, if not harder, than anybody else in the ballpark. Just to give you an idea of what their last 2 days have been like, they were at the ballpark until about 5:30, 6 p.m. yesterday when the Cubs cleared out. Then they had a little bit of a break before having to return at 2:45 in the morning, unload the truck, do all the laundry. They were here until about 6:30 in the morning, then had a little bit of a chance to take a nap if they wanted before the Marlins came in around 9:30, 10 a.m. So a lot of work, a quick turnaround for these clubhouse attendants here.
And that's every series.
Every series and every team. The kids work so hard. You know, and the ball players, if you have your wits about you, you take care of them at the end of the season, because you couldn't do it without them. They do so.
James Loney drills one, and Chris Johnson snags one, and that's the first pitch of the home second inning. 1 out.
Well, nice play by Johnson to his right. We've seen him mostly play third base with other teams, but fills in here at first base and makes a fine play. You know, Gary, the other thing I was going to say about the clubhouse attendance is that what people tend to forget is that a lot of the kids, we think of them as kids, they're close to the same age as the ball players.
Right.
So they become friendly with the players.
Well, the other thing is that a lot of people see the bat boys and the ball boys. Those are the same kids who are doing the laundry and shining the shoes and being here at 2:45 in the morning. It's not just the fun of being the bat boy. It's, you know, you're also a personal valet. You're a launderer. You're everything that the players need. You are responsible for in that clubhouse.
Signer of baseballs. Oh, did I say that out loud?
No.
Not now. I'm talking about my day.
As Dribble Cabrera fouls it off.
Larry, you mentioned, Gary, you mentioned being a launderer. Something that is a little bit different about this particular day for these clubbies as well is that because of the unique circumstances with the team flying from Atlanta to Fort Bragg for just one game and then here, they actually had to do the laundry for 2 days worth, 77 jerseys and 106 pairs of pants, only 3 washing machines and 2 dryers. So it took a lot of time getting ready for today's game.
Hey, Pete, were you up doing laundry at 2:45 in the morning, too?
I just might have been. Start just sending it to me as Pete, all right? And I'll give you Larry for the rest of the season.
That's the second time in a week now.
Really?
I'm starting to get a little bit of a complex.
You know you don't.
Well, guys, it's only been 2.5 years now, so give me a little bit of time to warm up.
Cabrera shoots one up the middle, and the Mets have their first hit of the day. So Cabrera, who had the day off yesterday, gets a base hit his first time up today. And the Mets have a one-out base runner for yesterday's hero, Wilmer Flores. Wilmer yesterday won a place that only one other Met had gone before, and it just happened to be his hero and mentor, Edgardo Alfonzo, who had a 6-hit, 3-home-run game in 1999. Flores settled for a 6-hit, 2-home-run game yesterday against the Cubs.
Well, I've always said I wanted to see someone get 6 hits in a game, and I still haven't. Missed yesterday's game. You and Keith did it.
Maybe it'll be today.
Oh, okay.
Well, Wilmer raised his batting average from 224 to 255 in one day.
That's great lifting.
It's a big day. And of course, Wilmer is also trying to stave off the impending arrival of Jose Reyes and protect some of his playing time. He hits this one out to left center field. Back in the gap goes Yelich with Ozuna, and Yelich runs it down. 2 out.
If Reyes does come and plays third base right away, Wilmer could be valuable to this team in many different respects. You have an older double play combination. They need days off occasionally. He'd be able to play second. He'd be able to play shortstop and third base occasionally, even first.
There's Brandon Nimmo. Help me with this, Ronnie.
Yeah.
You know that play in the last half inning where Nimmo overthrew second base, and
which allowed Stan to take the extra base?
Yeah. The official scorer is contending that that's not an error. He is contending that Nimmo intentionally threw the ball toward first base to try and get Stanton rounding the base.
It's pretty funny because I didn't see him go out to left field and talk to Nimmo in between innings there to find out his intention.
So he's saying there's no error and it's second on the throw. I mean, there's no way in the world that that was his intention, was it?
Of course not.
Yeah, I didn't think so. 1-1 to Nimmo.
But you know what? We wouldn't be talking about it if he didn't call it a no error. I mean, it's.
I wrote down error, and I'm fairly certain that'll be changed to an error at some point.
So you haven't gone to the whiteout yet?
Not yet.
I'll tell you what happened when Nimmo came off to get that ball because it caromed off the wall. He had anticipation that Stanton might try to go for 2. As soon as he got the baseball, he looked up and Stanton was about a third of the way there. It made him hurry his throw. When he hurried his throw, that's why he threw it high. That's what happened.
But he wasn't trying to throw to first base.
No.
No, I didn't think so. Nimmo making his 8th start. He's provided the Mets a nice offensive spark. He's had a very active homestand already. First big league RBI to help the Mets to a win in the opening game of the series against the Cubs. His first big league home run the next night. Sat out yesterday against the left-hander, but back in there today. Kohler's falling behind him 3-1 with d'Arnaud on deck. And Nimmo shoots one into left field for a base hit. And he's been very impressive with his at-bats, using the whole field.
Well, we talked about this in the open. It's just, you know, the Mets can hit home runs, but when they dry up, they have the ability to hit the ball the other way. And that's, I know our booth mate Keith Hernandez loves this swing right here. Outside corner with the fastball, just go the way it was pitched. Head on the baseball, hitting the ball even with the plate and driving it right over the shortstop's head. That's as pretty as it gets for a left-handed hitter.
So 2 on and 2 out. Now Travis d'Arnaud, who's been swinging the bat very well since his return from the disabled list. 8 for his last 17. We had a lot of conversations, you, me, and Keith, over the last few days about d'Arnaud and him going back to wrapping the bat around his head. And so I talked to Travis yesterday about it. He said that about 2 games before he went on the disabled list, that he and Kevin Long decided to go back to this, because the way he was trying with the bat back flat was not working for him. What he was finding was that when he started with the bat flat, he would wrap the bat anyway and then bring it back around, so there was extra motion. So now he's starting with the bat wrapped, so there's just one motion to get the ball to the hitting zone.
Got it.
He also said he opened his stance because he felt like he was closing his hips off too much. So now he's starting open, trying to finish squared and keep his hips open.
And for hitters, when they feel like their hip is staying closed, it takes away from their power.
Kohler ahead of him 0-2 and knocked down by Real Muto. 1-2.
Real Muto, who's still learning how to catch. You see his body. He's got great quickness, okay? So he can get out there, but watch him. He turns the glove over and tries to backhand it. You want to get in front of that ball, turn the glove over, and block it with your chest. He's still learning that.
That's residue of his days as a shortstop. Trying to backhand a ball in the hole. One-two coming, and d'Arnaud takes it wide.
You know, when we're watching him there, all catchers learn how to kind of pivot. If they have to go to their right, they push off with the inside of their left foot. If they have to go to their left, the inside of their right foot. It gives them that extra boost to get out there quicker, cover more ground.
2 out, 2 on, 2-2 to d'Arnaud, and Travis fouls it away.
So the bat wrapped, and when the pitch comes, he tries to throw the head right on the baseball. Not too much of a loop in that swing, considering that he does wrap the bat. Got to be awfully strong to do that, and Travis is pound for pound one of the stronger guys on the Mets team.
Again, the 2-2, and he hits it out to right field. Stanton is there waiting for it. Almost sailed on him, but he manages to grab it to retire the side. Mets strand a pair in the second against Kohler. Harvey will go back to the mound for the third with the Marlins up 3-0. Mets down 3-0 as we go to the third. Our Toyota Twitter poll. Tweet us at SNYTV. Should the Nathan's famous 4th of July International Hot Dog Eating Contest be televised? I'm not going to express my opinion. I want to see what the people on Twitter say.
Okay.
Christian Yelich leads off in the 3rd inning against Matt Harvey. And takes a fastball for a strike. Yelich struck out his first time up. Do you have strong feelings about that one way or the other?
I can't watch it. I've seen highlights of it, and makes me a little sick to my stomach.
Ball and a strike.
I have these germ issues, so a lot of people are touching those hot dog buns and hot dogs before they make it your way.
Bounce to the right side. Lorney's got it. Harvey gets over to cover and beats Yelich to the bag. 1 away.
I think Harvey got a good break there. Down and in. Just one little half step, and then he got over there. Plenty of time because Yelich can really run. Throw a little bit behind him. Oh, no, it was ahead of him. Good throw. Just high.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Marcell Ozuna, who grounded out his first time up. And he lines one into right field for a base hit. So Ozuna with a nice inside out swing. He has the Marlins' 7th hit against Harvey, a 1-out single.
Well, really the only way you can have this many 300 hitters is you got to have the ability to hit the ball up the middle and hit the ball the other way. Fastball away. Ozuna quick to the baseball. It's very Cespedes like the way he drove that to right field.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Stanton hit one over the bag that banked off the tarp. Should have been a 1 base for Stanton. He wound up on second after a bad throw.
So these stats are so telling because every pitcher is going to have runners on base. The elite pitchers, those numbers get tiny when it gets to RISP and runners on. And Matt's, of course, in that graphic are escalated.
What does that tell you?
Well, I think that right now he's trying to pitch a perfect game when he comes out, and when things don't go perfectly, it leaves him a little puzzled. You just have to, when guys get on, it's really, I know it's about mechanics and execution and all those things. It's a lot about fight, Gary, when guys are on base.
He strikes out Stanton with a curveball. 3rd strikeout of the day from Matt.
He's been looking for the slider all year long, but the curveball has pretty much been a better pitch than that slider for Matt this season.
It's 100 strikeouts for Stanton this year. Only 2 players in the league have struck out more. Trevor Story, who's been hurt the last week, and Chris Carter. Derek Dietrich struck out his first time up. He fouls one away.
Staying with the same game plan, that fastball up. We were talking about the Mets going the other way. 6 of the 7 hits by the Marlins in this game have been either up the middle or the other way. Only Stanton's to the pull side.
Makes that fascinating is I saw a quote from Barry Bonds the other day. He said, I don't want these guys thinking about the hitter that I was. I thought them thinking about the hitters they can be. And of course, Barry was a pull hitter for most of his career.
That's what great coaches do, is they let you max out your ability, not someone else's.
Harvey ahead 0-2 on Dietrich. Did he stay with the Heat? He checks on Ozuna, who has not stolen a base this year.
Although not a bad time to take off. 0-2 count against your teammate. He's scuffling a little bit against the Harvey fastball. See if he can steal one. If you get thrown out, Dietrich leads off.
Not going, and Dietrich fouls off the fastball. Don't miss out as baseball's biggest stars take the field at the 87th All-Star Game, July 12th on Fox. Coverage begins at 7:30 p.m. Directed by Bill Webb.
In the shadows of San Diego.
You mean it'll be sunny? Wasn't when we were there.
That's right.
There's the 0-2. And it's way high. Greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. Some of the candidates to start the All-Star Game not pictured there for some reason is Noah Syndergaard.
I think Syndergaard's going to get the start.
I think there's every chance of that. He or Cueto. Strasburg maybe after he came back so well from the DL yesterday. Dietrich strikes out on the slider, so back-to-back strikeouts for Harvey to finish off the third inning. Middle of the third at Citi Field, 3-0 Miami. Verizon trivia question: which three players have 90 or more home runs and 100 or more doubles against the National League East as a Met? You want me to repeat that? Is that's all time or is that active? All time. Okay. Hi guys. How's the game going? Matt Harvey leads off in the home third. Matt is 2 for 21 at the plate this year. Seems to be a recurring theme that pitchers who come to the major leagues and hit well initially have their skills recede. And that's certainly been the case with Matt. It looked when he first came up as though he was going to be a very vibrant hitter.
I know in my day it happened just because you wouldn't have any batting practice or not enough during the regular season. But today's a pitcher gets more batting practice than we did in the day, so that shouldn't be a problem. I think that what happens is for the pitchers around the league, if you're any good at all, you're going to see what Matt just saw from Kohler, more breaking balls. And one of the reasons you become a pitcher is because you can't hit a ball that spins.
Granderson on deck. Harvey lines one to left center field. He must have heard base hit from Matt. His third hit of the season and the Mets' third hit of the day.
A little cutter away by Kohler, but it stays. Well, it was working that way, but Matt got to it before it hit the corner. Didn't hit it right on the screws, a little off the end of the bat, but we know how strong he is.
And did it with his eyes closed. That's pretty impressive.
You guys had a replay of DeGrom yesterday hitting off Montero, and when he made contact, his eyes were closed.
Is that a pitcher's thing?
I don't know.
Here's Granderson, who follows the path of the ball right to his bat because he's a hitter.
Yes. Eyes stay open.
Curtis flied out to left on the first pitch he saw from Kohler today. Yesterday hit a first inning home run, batting second in the order. Curtis has hit 14 home runs this year, and half of them have come in the first inning. In fact, the Mets have hit more first inning home runs than any team in the majors.
Well, shifted over to pull, but not the extreme shift that we've seen against Curtis.
Happy with himself at that swing at a high fastball, and it's 1-2. Neil Walker waits on deck. Harvey at first, Johnson playing behind him. Do you think that Matt's white shoes will cause him to be able to run faster?
Like Billy White Shoes Johnson?
I mean, it always looks like you're faster when you're wearing white shoes.
They're a good looking shoe, I'll tell you that.
I know the people from the swoosh company are very happy right now.
Got the gray there, gray swoosh.
Curtis pulls one down to first. Johnson will go to second with it, and off the bag Echeverria. He comes back down on the bag, and they get the force, but that's all.
Well, that's the inexperience of Chris Johnson here. Watch how he rushes to get rid of this ball to get back to the bag. No reason to do that. Curtis is running. You're not going to turn two on that ball anyway. So make the accurate throw first and then get back. It was a nice play by Echeverria to hold on not only to the ball but his toe on the bag.
So 3-6 force play erases Harvey, puts Granderson at first with one out. And Johnson, who was playing behind Harvey, will hold against Granderson. Neil Walker grounded out his first time up. And Kohler misses with a curveball. And that curveball in for a strike. Walker talking to Tom Hallion about it. Yoenis Cespedes waiting on deck. Did you see the Saturday night game with Laz Diaz behind the plate? Did you see any of that?
I did see some of it on my computer. The roving strike zone.
Well, as Joe Madden put it, they call it a morphic strike.
Morphic, very good.
I'm not sure that's a word, by the way, but it's a good word. How about the Javier Baez strike three call in the ninth from Familia?
It's like reservations for four.
Something. Thing is, he also called a Bartolo Colon pitch right down the middle of ball. It was just one of those days where both teams were unhappy with him both ways. 2-1 coming, and Walker fouls one off his foot. 2-2.
Well, you know, in the umpire's defense, everyone has, and I didn't watch enough of the game to criticize Laz Diaz, but everyone has an indifferent day at work sometimes. It happens, you know.
Are we heading toward the days of computers calling balls and strikes?
No.
Full count to Walker.
Men in blue are part of the game. They're part of the aesthetic of looking out on the field.
Well, you could have men in blue, just they could be informed on their handheld device of whether it's a ball or strike, and then they could make the call.
See his index finger. That's like the knuckle kind of curveball that he throws. Just digs that index finger into the seam of the ball.
Granderson not running, and Walker fouls off the 3-2 pitch.
Some call it a spike curveball. There's been a lot of different names for it. I thought the best one I saw towards the end of my career was Mike Messina had an excellent one for the Orioles.
The guy I remember who kind of introduced that pitch was Bert Hooton.
Yes.
3-2 coming to Walker, and it's inside, ball 4, close pitch. But Walker gets the call, and there's the first walk given up by Kohler, who's really struggled with walks this year.
Fastball inside. Not given the call by Hallian. I thought it was a little in. What's that, his 48th walk this year?
Kohler this year is averaging 4.9 walks per 9 innings, up from 3.7 last year. There's the umpiring crew. Vacation replacement Tom Woodring working at second in between Cuzzy and Bellino. So Cespedes gets to the plate as a tying run in a 3-0 game. Ewan is fouled out to the catcher his first time up. Granderson at second, Walker at first with 1 out. And Cespedes takes a strike on the inside corner.
When you're having a year like Kohler's had, and I had a couple seasons like that where your walks are just out of control, you got to be lights out with runners in scoring position or runners on base, because you're going to have plenty of both. See, he has the ball behind his back and the changeup grip, and then he'll change it when he gets in his glove, or not.
Tom Kohler turned 30 years old just last Wednesday.
He's fashioned a blue-collar, workman-like kind of career, hasn't he?
4th full year in the Marlins rotation. Real Muto is going to go out for a talk. And, you know, this is the one area where the Marlins may think about upgrading as they get toward the trading deadline. They've already upgraded their bullpen, getting Fernando Rodney. They've got a very strong lineup, but starting pitching is an area where they probably need some help if they want to be a postseason team.
Yeah, and if you, I mean, the Royals have done it without having, you know, a deep starting 5, but they've had that bullpen, of course, that's lights out from a 7, 8, 9.
Of course, the Marlins have a legitimate ace in Jose Fernandez, a developing number 2 starter in Adam Conley, but the rest of the guys, you see how they have struggled.
And with the money that Chen got, you would expect him to be better than that 5 ERA.
Jared Cozart was supposed to be in that rotation. Golfed in the air to center. Moving over is Ozuna, and he makes the grab for the 2nd out. So Cespedes retired, 2 down.
That was an interesting play on a lot of levels there. One, because Ozuna plays much deeper than Cespedes does for the Mets, that made that play a very easy play. That would have been a difficult play with Cespedes in center field because of how shallow he plays. Second, once he makes the catch, Granderson goes back to tag. Granderson has to go to third. Why? Because the play for a center fielder is to throw it to second base. He's giving you third base. So you don't even have to worry about him going to third, because the play is to go to second to keep the force in order. That's a play that I'm surprised that surprised Granderson.
So now 2 out and 2 on for Loney, who scolded one his first time up into an out, lining out to Chris Johnson, the first baseman.
But this Mets team has seen Ozuna throw people out all over the planet.
Remember that game in Miami where he threw out 2 runners in the 9th inning at home plate from left field?
Wright and Neuenhuis, right?
Changeup in for a strike, 1-1 to Loney. That's left a couple of men aboard in the 2nd inning. Kohler hoping to do the same in the 3rd. And Loney takes a fastball off the knees, and it's 1-2.
Now, with all the hitting that Loney has done for the Mets, and if you're doing charts on James Loney as a New York Met, would you have your shortstop up the middle? I mean, he certainly has hit so many baseballs through that gap at shortstop.
Had 2 hits to left field yesterday in that general direction. However, if you're going to pitch him low and in, then I guess it makes sense to play him to pull.
Only low and in.
Two out, 2 on, 2-2 to Loney. And he strokes one foul. SNY play ball, and the New York Jets are looking to help local leagues in need with grants, equipment donations, clinics, and special Jets experiences. Does your league need assistance? Apply today at sny.tv/playball. Again, the 2-2. And the curveball stroke toward the middle. Echeverria can't get it. Granderson will have to stop at third as Dietrich backed it up nicely. And now the Mets have the bases loaded.
Well, for all you youngsters out there, this is why you dive for the baseball and try somehow to get a glove on it to keep it in the infield. Echeverria didn't make the play, and Granderson would have scored if he wasn't backed up by Dietrich. So beautiful play on both middle infielders' part. Gives your pitcher one more chance to try to get out of the inning. Now, Dietrich didn't need to throw that ball to third. That's the only thing I would take away.
Well, especially since Prado was about 15 feet from third base when he threw it.
And good job by Tough, because I think that when you hear the crowd noise like that, if you're a runner, you anticipate that ball might have gone into center field. But Tough, you see, he's got his arm up and correctly holding Granderson at third base.
Juan Nieves, the Marlins pitching coach, just paid a visit to the mound. That's of the tying runs on base. Granderson, Walker, and Loney with 2 down, and Cabrera coming up. As Dribble had a base hit up the middle his first time up. Now 3 for 6 with a home run in his career against Tom Kohler. And he goes after the high fastball, 0-1.
And you know, I stand corrected, because I discussed why they would be playing so much to pull by Echeverria on Loney, and it saves them in this inning so far.
Kohler quickly ahead on Cabrera, 0-2. Here's the home run that Cabrera hit earlier this year against Kohler.
Covered that ball. Dropped it in the net. It's near the scoreboard.
No movement from the home run sculpture. 0-2 coming in tight. Just for reference, Tom Kohler in his 5-year major league career has never given up a grand slam.
Very nice, Gary. It's a good bounce pass here for Cabrera,
who has 2 grand slams in his career. And he takes that low and in, knocked down by Real Muto, 2-2. So a hard-working inning for Kohler, who threw 21 pitches in the second inning and 30 more here in the third. Granderson at third, Walker at second, Loney at first with 2 out. Mets down 3-0. Two coming to Cabrera, and that's low and in, full count. And that will set the merry-go-round in motion. Granderson, Walker, and Loney will all be running. 3-2 to Cabrera. Grounds one foul. We'll do it again.
Well, when you have the bases loaded and you're all moving, first and second is very easy. You're just taking off. You're getting a huge lead, trying to cover as much distance as you can. Granderson's got to be a little more careful because you're so close to the batter. You want to run, but you want to run in foul territory, almost near Tough, so you don't get hit with a line drive.
7th pitch of the at-bat coming to Loney. To Cabrera, and he pops it up behind the bag. Johnson gives way to Dietrich, and Dietrich uses 2 hands to secure it, and Kohler able to get out of the inning. So Cabrera fouls out, and the Mets strand 3 in the bottom of the third. Still 3-0 Marlins as we go to the 4th. Verizon trivia question was, which 3 players have 90 home runs and 100 doubles against the East as a Met? Well, David Wright has to be one. And we'll give you the answer in a minute. Chris Johnson takes high for ball 1. And Darryl Strawberry and Howard Johnson are the others. The usual suspects at the tops of the Met leaderboards. Chris Johnson had a base hit to drive and a run in the second, and then took second base on the throw to the plate. Was initially ruled out, which would have ended the inning, but on review the call was overturned, and the Marlins then added 3 more hits and 2 more runs against Harvey in that second inning.
Remember, those numbers by Strawberry and Johnson were against teams like the Cubs and the Cardinals, who were in the NL East at that time.
And the Pirates, who you guys used to abuse. 17-1, I believe, against Pittsburgh in '86.
Wow.
At that time, before interleague play, when there were just 2 divisions in each league, you played 18 against your own division and 12 against the other division. Now you got 19 against your own division, but only 6 or 7 against the other divisions. That's lined over Walker, a base hit for Johnson. He's 2 for 2. And I think that's what's really lacking in the schedule right now. It's great that you have the intense rivalries against teams in your own division, which you've always had. But what you lack is a feel for the rest of the National League. Because, like, the Cubs were just here, and the Mets will play them again right after the break, and those are the only 2 times they'll play them all year. And it used to be that you made 2 trips to every city in the other division, and you had a much better feel for the league as a whole.
I know, especially the West Coast, we used to always take the same trip: San Francisco, San Diego, and LA, and you'd face them early and late, so you'd really see what kind of team or how they had transformed over the course of the summer.
Here's Echeverria taking a strike. He had a double over the head of Cespedes in center field to drive in a run in the second. Of course, now with interleague play, the whole thing has gotten turned on its head. You see just as much of a division in the American League as you do the National League Central and West.
Right.
1-1 to Echeverria. That's had a big problem with the lower part of the Marlins batting order so far today. Johnson, Echeverria, Kohler, the 7, 8, and 9 hitters, combined 4 for 4 with 3 RBIs. And that's it through the hole, a base hit. So Echeverria is 2 for 2, and the Marlins have the first 2 men on in the 4th. That's 9 hits now against Harvey. And another opposite field hit.
Supposed to be inside, but it's a cutting fastball, so it works from the inside to the middle of the plate, and that's why Echeverria was able to hit that ball to right field. Fingers together means he's trying to cut that fastball so it moves away from the hitter, but really when you throw it on the inside corner, it's more to surprise him.
So how about this, Ronnie? Tom Kohler had a base hit to drive in a run in the second. It was only his 2nd hit and his first RBI of the year. In his major league career now, Kohler has 14 hits. 3 for 3 against Matt Harvey.
Really?
Really?
Wow.
He'll still be asked to bunt here, I think. And he bunts it foul at the plate.
Well, that's not a very good job by me. If my analysis would have changed if I had done more homework on whether to pitch to Echeverria.
I mean, who knew? Eric Goodell is up. Logan Verrett got up in the second inning, so there is concern for Matt, who's given up 9 hits now. Well, the Marlins have had a great opposite field approach in this game, and it's really paid off for them. Kohler has 1 sacrifice this year, and he takes a swing on the Butcher Boy, pops the foul, and Loney comes over to grab it. Tagging it second and holding is Johnson, and that's the first out. So I guess Don Mattingly knew that he was 3 for 3 against Matt and gave him a chance to swing away.
Well, I don't know if he gave him a chance to swing away. They faked the wheel on Kohler, and he bit. And when he saw all the infielders moving around, he thought it was a good time to Butcher Boy and try to take a swing. And he's trying to explain it to his manager now, who looks perturbed and disgusted.
Or skeptical, at least.
See, it kind of faked by Cabrera for the pickoff attempt. So all the infielders are moving. And he thought maybe with that big hole at shortstop, a good time to take a swing. It's the right thinking if you hit a single through the shortstop position. Wrong thinking if you pop up.
So whether it's good thinking depends on whether it's successful.
Exactly. Always. Always.
Well, they always say in baseball, you're only as smart as your batting average.
That's right.
Or maybe now your OPS. Real Muto's already 2 for 2, twice a single to center field. And Harvey gets the changeup over, ball and a strike. 9 hits that Matt has allowed today, the second most he's allowed this year. He gave up 11 hits in a loss at Colorado in May. Martin Prado on deck. So far, he's limited the damage to 3 runs, but a lot of work to do here. And it's into the knees to Real Muto, 1-2. Johnson at second, Echeverria at first with 1 out. Two. City probables for the remainder of the series. Tomorrow night, Steven Matz against Wei Yin Chen in a battle of left-handers. Another lefty, Justin Nicolino, goes Wednesday afternoon against Jacob deGrom.
Jacob has righted the ship, hasn't he?
Well, he finally got a win in his last start, but he certainly deserved many more than that the way he's pitched recently. That's hit hard and past the glove of Flores and into left field. Johnson will have to pull in at third. He thought for sure Wilmer was going to catch that ball, and it sure looked like he was going to, but it sailed right past the leather.
Well, this ball just beat Flores. Reaction time, and the ball just went over his glove. That's why it confused Johnson. He threw out the glove where he thought the ball was going to be, and it went right over the glove.
And that'll be a base hit for Real Muto. Had he caught the ball, it would have been interesting to see whether he could have gotten a double play. Now instead, the bases are loaded with 1 out, and Martin Prado coming up. And Harvey's got some heavy lifting to do. He's already gotten Prado to hit into 1 double play today. He could use another. Johnson at third, Echeverria at second. Real Muto is now 3 for 3, is on first. And Prado takes low and in, ball 1. Johnson led off the inning with a base hit. Echeverria had an opposite field hit, and Real Muto hitting one past Flores. Infield back, hoping to turn 2, and it's chopped back to Harvey. He'll come home for 1 out, throws it away. Johnson scores, and it's 4-0 Miami. Harvey had the easiest of plays for a 1-2-3 double play, and he made a bad throw to bring home a run.
Well, not much you can say here. I mean, tailor-made. Couldn't get it any better, and just spiked it in the ground. No chance for d'Arnaud to make a play. I swear to you, when I think about pitchers throwing the ball to bases, I feel like sometimes their entire life has been spent letting it go, and when they throw to bases, they aim the ball. And when you aim the ball, you have no chance of throwing it where you want to. See how he kind of just aimed it? He just wanted to lay it in there.
And Yelich follows with a base hit up the middle. That'll bring home Echeverria. Real Muto right behind him. The throw goes to third for the tag play, and they get Prado for the 2nd out. But 2 more runs come home, and it's 6-0 Miami. So Yelich drives home a pair, and that's going to be it for Matt Harvey. The 11th hit he's given up. Tag him with an error as well that hurt his cause, and his day comes to a premature close. He went 3 2/3 his last start, taken out because of a rain delay. This time he lasts 3 2/3 because of poor performance. Harvey's out. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. 6-0 Miami in the 4th. We'll come right back to Citi Field. Ugly day at the office for Matt Harvey. He's out after 3 2/3 innings. Eric Adell will take over for him. With a runner at first and 2 out and 3 runs home here in the 4th.
Good breaking pitch there from Goodell. Pitch on Saturday night, gave up a solo home run to Zobrist.
Facing Marcell Ozuna with Yelich at first and 2 out. Splitter in the dirt and Darno able to stop it. 1-1. Ozuna 1 for 2 at a base hit to right field his last time up. Well, there have been a couple of pressure points today. The overturned call in the first inning that led to 2 more runs, and the Harvey error here in the 4th inning that has led to 3 extra runs. Because you have to figure if he throws that on target, it's a double play and the inning's over.
That's right.
1-2 to Ozuna. That goes 3 2/3, allows 11 hits. One-two coming inside. What is it they always say in baseball? Momentum is only as good as your next day's starting pitcher.
So true.
That's had a ton of momentum coming out of yesterday's game against the Cubs, but that collapsed very quickly. 2-2 from Goodell, and he strikes him out with a splitter. Inning over. But the Marlins add 3 and knock Harvey out of the box. 6-0 Miami in the 4th. July 10th for Family Sunday. The Mets take on the Nats at 1:10. The first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a pair of Asdrubal Cabrera wristbands courtesy of Gatorade. Plus, all kids 12 and under can run the bases after the game in the Mr. Met Dash presented by Northwell Health. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Family Sundays.
Didn't they have a canary sleeve giveaway?
That was yesterday.
Did we get one?
Well, those of us who were here for the promotional date yesterday might have received one.
So did you save me one?
There was only one that I was aware of. And you know where that goes.
Of course.
Well, Tom Kohler now 6 runs to the good. He lasted just 3 innings in his last start in Detroit. Allowed 5 runs, 8 hits. He's allowed nothing so far today. Left 5 runners on base in the last 2 innings.
And he's been in as much trouble as Harvey, right? When you think about it, and he's somehow been able to pitch around it, and Matt wasn't able to.
Brandon Nimmo on deck, and then Travis d'Arnaud in the fourth as the Mets try to fight back. And Flores gets jammed and rolls one out to Dietrich. One out. That'll bring up Brandon Nimmo, who had a base hit his first time up. He's made quite an impact early in his Mets career after being drafted first by the Mets 5 years ago.
I always think it's a great tribute to scouting and player development to get it. You can be a #1 pick, but you've got to develop a player. Obviously when you're a #1 draft choice, you have skills, but you've got to refine those skills, and that's part of the minor leagues and what those guys do down there with the work ethic that they have. And Brandon's a hard worker. He's to come up here, and it's fun to see him. He's got great energy. He loves being here. He's very proud that he got here, and he's excited, and he should be. And I just hope he never loses that attitude.
A lot of conversation about Brandon Nimmo on his way through the minor leagues about what his ceiling might be. But he has come up here and looked like he belonged.
Well, his swing belongs, I'll tell you that. Keith has been talking a lot about it. It's short, it's to the ball. He has enough power. We saw his first and only home run. He's he's a big athlete. When he first was drafted by the Mets, couldn't get much skinnier than Brandon. Put on a lot of muscle.
And a check swing taken low. 3-1. Nimmo had a 3-1 count first time up, got a base hit. This time he takes a strike, 3-2. Logan Barrett getting ready in the Mets bullpen. Pitcher spot due up fourth in this inning. After Eric Goodell got the final out in the top of the inning.
Terry was talking about development, Gary, and it's so different. Each person is so different in the way they receive information, their ability to use information. And boy, Brandon was drafted at such a tender age with not a lot of baseball experience that, he probably was like a sponge, taking everything in and trying to figure out what worked best for him, because that's the real goal.
That's drilled out to left field, but Yelich is there. Well, he didn't have a lot of baseball experience outdoors, but in the barn, he was very, very well trained.
I just think that my first full year in the major leagues with the Mets, at the end of that summer, I was a better pitcher in college than I was at my first full year after AAA. And it's because I took all the information in, I used it all, and I got so far away from who I was. And then I had to kind of track back, find out what made me special as a pitcher, and then work forward again.
d'Arnaud hits one out to right center field, chasing Ozuna back near the wall. It's out of here. First home run of the year for Travis d'Arnaud. He's gone back to his old swing, and it is paying big dividends. And he gets the Mets on the board. It's now 6-1 Miami.
Well, Gary, the thing you talked to Travis about, keeping that front hip a little open, that provides you the ability to turn around that core and provide more power. I mean, d'Arnaud's a guy that he plays all the time, and that's been the problem. To me, he looks like a 15 to 20 home run guy. The ability to hit that ball out to right center with that kind of power is something special.
Now Alejandro De Aza will pinch hit, takes a strike.
There's the wrap. And gets that ball head down and through. He's always had tremendous power to right center ever since he came up to the major leagues.
First home run of the year coming in his 80th at bat. De Aza hits one in the air to right. Stanton drifting back. He has room and puts it away to retire the side. But d'Arnaud's home run gets the Mets their first run of the afternoon. We head to the fifth at Citi Field, 6-1 Miami. To test drive a new Ford, you'll discover why Ford is the total package. Logan Verrett will pitch for the second straight day.
Well, he's given up runs in his last 2 relief appearances. Same with Jim between those was a start in Washington. His last outing against Chicago gave up a home run also.
Pitched pretty well on that start, but struggled yesterday. Home run on the first pitch he threw to Wilson Contreras.
Still walked 4 in that start. His control hasn't been as fine as it was last season or the beginning of this year.
Here's Giancarlo Stanton leading off in the 5th inning. 6-1 Miami. Stanton 1 for 2, singled and struck out. And he chases the slider way out of the strike zone. 0-1. Final line on Matt Harvey as you look at this chase by Stanton. Harvey went 3 2/3, allowed 11 hits, 6 runs, 5 earned, no walks, 4 strikeouts. Matt's ERA goes up from 4.55 to 4.86. And he's in danger of falling to 4-11 on the season. Chris Archer's lost 11 games for Tampa Bay. Nobody else in the majors has lost 11. Stanton strikes, takes a swing at the second strike, and it's 1-2.
Balance is what they've been talking about with Stanton. You can see that he has none there. Almost not like he's on his heels hitting.
Slowly hit. Flores has to charge, uses the glove and the throw on target to get Stanton. Nice play by Flores, 1 out.
Wilmer usually uses the glove. We always saw David Wright with the bare hand, but Wilmer will glove it and then exchange it.
So 1 out in the top of the 5th, and now Derek Dietrich, who struck out both times against Matt Harvey. And the curveball from Verrett misses for ball 1. Year and going back to last year, Derek Dietrich had become something of a jack of all trades for the Marlins. He plays some third, he plays some outfield, but with the suspension of Dee Gordon, he's taken over as the just about everyday second baseman, and that's worked out very well for the Marlins. Be interesting to see where he fits when Gordon gets back. 1-2 to Dietrich. Gordon is due to return, I think it's July 28th, so it's about 3.5 weeks away. Coming back from an 80-game suspension for PEDs. Just missed. 2-2.
Oh.
Is there a better way to eat that?
That's a beautiful mess right there.
Dietrich strikes out for the 3rd time. This time, yet again, the high fastball gets him. 2 down.
So it doesn't really matter if you throw 95 plus. The ball upstairs is the ball that Dietrich can't handle. He loves the ball down, but swings the ball up.
Game 2 of this series tomorrow night. Steven Matz on the mound for the Mets. Coverage begins at 6 o'clock tomorrow night on SNY. Here's Chris Johnson, and he takes a strike. So today the Marlins are starting a pitcher who played at Stony Brook University, and tomorrow the Mets are starting a pitcher who's from Stony Brook.
Wow.
So the question is, that's hit toward the hole, a base hit for Johnson. He's 3 for 3, 3 right field hits for Chris Johnson. The question is, has Tom Kohler ever had the Steven Matz sandwich? Well, at the local deli in Stony Brook.
How long has it been since they've had that sandwich? Since he was in high school, or?
I think that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. So you're saying it may have been too long ago that Tom was in Stony Brook, yes, going to the university for him to, but he might have gone back for an alumni occasion or some such thing. We'll have to ask. Here's Echeverria, who's got a single and a double today. And, you know, Kohler was a big star at Stony Brook. You would think maybe he would have a sandwich, too.
Have you ever had a sandwich named after you?
No. Have you?
I would not allow that. It's like, it's the Groucho Marx thing, right?
You don't want to be part of the club that would have you as a member?
Exactly.
I don't know. I think it would probably depend on the sandwich.
Well, what would your sandwich be?
I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
Okay. Get back to me tomorrow on that one.
Of course, it would depend on the nature of the establishment that was serving the sandwich. Kohler on deck. 0-2 to Echeverria. And he hits it back to Verrett, who catches it between his legs and throws him out. Not quite sure how he did that, but Verrett handles it with aplomb. As is that youngster. That looks so good.
That's great.
Your 4th, 5th inning recap. Tom Kohler has been struggling lately. Has held the Mets to 1 run through the first 4 innings. Not a good outing for Matt Harvey. He got knocked out in the 4th. Mets down 6-1 as they come to bat in the bottom of the 5th. It's that last comebacker by Logan Verrett, a high degree of difficulty.
High degree of difficulty, but he made it look easy. And I'm thinking when you follow through like Verrett does, he probably has had that play many more times than we've seen. College, youth ball, and now here in the big leagues.
Third time around the batting order for Kohler as Curtis Granderson leads off in the home 5th and takes a strike. So we've gotten a few more details about the Steven Matz sandwich, which is served at the Seaport Deli in East Setauket, which is right next to Stony Brook. You see, Tom Kohler graduated from Stony Brook University in 2008, or at least he left when he was drafted by the Marlins.
Yes.
The Steven Matz sandwich came to be in 2009, a year later, when Steven was drafted by the Mets.
That makes sense.
So, unless he's been back for some function, I would say that Kohler probably has not had the pleasure of consuming the Matz sandwich. Did you get the details on the sandwich itself?
I did get the details from Mr. Relkin.
Sounds very tasty.
Yes.
Granderson rockets one deep right field, hit it toward the corner. It's out of here. Second game back from the calf injury. Second home run in 2 days for Curtis Granderson. And the Mets powering their way back in. It's now 6-2 Miami. Number 15 for Granderson.
Well, when Kohler's at his best, he doesn't give up a lot of home runs. Only had 8 given up coming into this game, but now these two jacked that up to 10. Fastball right down the middle, hooked into the corner by Granderson.
So 2 home runs from the last 3 batters, and now Neil Walker, and he lifts one to left, and Christian Yelich waiting for it. And again, outfielders backpedaling at the last moment. 1 out. Home run means $2,000 for No Kid Hungry, enough to provide 20,000 healthy meals courtesy of City. Today is the 4th of July. The Mets, who hit 40 home runs in May, hit just 25 in June. They've already hit 13 in the first 4 days of July. Granderson's hit him in back-to-back games. Now Cespedes, who's fouled out and flied out, 0 for 2. And Cespedes takes it away. Well, we've shown this many times this year, the fact that the Mets have the highest percentage of runs from the home run. Taken out. We need to revise that graphic before we put it up again.
Yeah.
Had a little problem with those runners in scoring position numbers, but we'll get back to it. You know, I was just about to describe the tasty contents of the Stephen Matt sandwich at the Seaport Deli. Chicken cutlet, melted jack, and cheddar cheese. So 2 kinds of cheese. Bacon, lettuce, tomato, topped with pepper house dressing on a toasted garlic hero.
And a nap.
I'm ready to run to East Setauket for that. That's hit hard. A base hit for Cespedes. So Cespedes, who had a base hit the other way 2 nights ago, has himself another one. And the Mets have a runner aboard with 1 out for James Loney. Loney's hit the ball hard twice. He lined out to the first baseman, and then with a couple of men on, hit a ball up the middle that Echeverria knocked down to save a run. Went for an infield hit for Loney. And he hits this one to Echeverria. He catches the liner, and Cespedes will be doubled off first base. Horrible base running by Cespedes. He was doubled off with no problem as that ball was hit directly at Echeverria, and Cespedes doubled off with no problem. Not good. 6-2 Miami after 5. Before, the Mets not only have the highest percentage of runs via the home run, they also have the lowest batting average with runners in scoring position. Cole Gillespie is batting for Tom Kohler as we start the 6th inning.
Well, look at that Orioles number, Gary. Average with runners in scoring position, 297.
Well, the Orioles have hit a little bit of a skid the last few days, but they're still sitting atop the American League East, which I don't think anybody had going into the year. Line to Granderson and right, and he picks that off for the first out. So Gillespie is retired. Kyle Barraclough, hard-throwing right-hander, getting ready in the Marlins bullpen. Now JT Realmuto is already 3 for 3 in this game. 3 singles against Harvey, scored a run. Logan Verrett working his 2nd inning of relief. It's the value of a guy like Verrett. Take them out in one of these situations and give you a 2 or 3 or 4 inning stint. The results of our Toyota Twitter poll, we asked whether the Nathan's hot dog eating contest should be televised, and nearly 2/3 of you love it. Here's what I think.
Okay.
I have nothing against a hot dog eating contest. What I have a problem with is a bun eating contest. If they just ate the hot dogs,
yeah,
and didn't eat the buns, that would be a lot of fun. You could probably eat 150 of them in 10 minutes. But it's the dunking of the buns in the water. It's just gross.
It's so sloppy. It's like some of those places that that boil the hot dogs right in that water that's been there forever. That's all I can think of.
Well, that's your germaphobe nature coming.
Exactly. Community food.
Line the other way, and Realmuto has his 4th hit of the day. 2 to center, 1 to left, and now Realmuto has 1 to right. He's chasing Wilmer Flores. Let's go to the studio. Well, Larry Ridley has a game break brought to you by your local Honda dealers. So the Mets and Marlins each with an opportunity to pick up a full game on the Nats. Marlins with the upper hand here, 6-2 in the 6th. Martin Prado's 0 for 3 today. Prado hit the comebacker to Harvey with the bases loaded and 1 out in the 4th. Harvey had what looked like an easy 1-2-3 double play. Threw the ball away, 1 run scored, and 2 more followed in that inning, and that was the end of Harvey's afternoon. That's hit out to right center. Cespedes back in the gap and runs it down for the 2nd out. Realmuto back to first, 2 away.
I'll tell you, the Marlins, you can see why they're hitting for a high average. I mean, they've spent all game long trying to hit the ball where it's pitched. The Mets pitchers have mostly been pitching away, and that's why you have so many balls hit for hits the extra way and lineouts like that from Prado.
Yelich had the base hit to center field that drove in 2 and chased Harvey in the 4th. 1 for 3 on the day, and he pulls that one past Loney and then to right field, a base hit. So the hits keep piling up for the Marlins. Yesterday the Mets had a 22 hit day. The Marlins now have 14.
I mean, we've seen how many dives from James Loney today, just out of his reach again. A nice job by Realmuto. The Olympics are coming. He's ready for the high hurdles.
Maybe Loney should have those orange socks under the stirrups like he had yesterday. Today going with the pants down look. That was his response to the '86 racing stripe jersey yesterday, to have the orange sanitaries under the blue stirrups, a look that I had never seen before.
What did 17 think about that look?
say he wasn't amused. Ozuna pops one up. Flores and Cabrera takes charge of it, and that retires the side. 2 hits and 2 left. We go to the bottom of the 6th, and it's down 6-2.
Bottom of the 6th here at Citi Field. Mets trail the Marlins 6-2. Kyle Barraclough, the new pitcher, on for Miami. And like the guys mentioned earlier in the broadcast, the Marlins a part of a history-making event last night as they played the Braves in Fort Bragg, the first ever professional sporting event to be played on an active military base. And it had a great impact on a lot of the players who took part in it, namely Christian Yelich, whose younger brother is actually an active Marine as well. And he was saying for him, last night, that game was as meaningful and as fun a game as he's ever been a part of. He said when you're standing there and the national anthem is being played and God Bless America, it has a totally different meaning when you're on an active military base. But what hit him the hardest was the tour that the Green Berets gave the Marlins earlier in the day. He said that they came upon a wall that had a list of all the Special Forces members of the Army who had been killed in active duty, but it wasn't just a list of names. It was faces and it was ages, and that is what hit him the hardest, the ages of these military members who were killed in action. Said that when you see the youth, and he's only a young 20s guy himself, and you see those paths as Cabrera singles, that really hits home just how lucky he is and the rest of these guys are to be doing what they're doing, and really what all of us are to be doing what we're doing.
There was a time where your teammate would sometimes go off to war, and that had to be sobering also. I just thought it was nicely done. The helicopter flyover at the beginning of the game was dramatic, and I think anything we can do to make one day a little better for our troops is a good thing.
Yeah, I think for everybody on base it was very, very special. They had to have a lottery because I think there are 39,000 folks who work at Fort Bragg, but those who got in to see the ball game, I think even some of them who weren't great baseball fans, just the spectacle of it was fabulous.
They are grinding it out every single day, so for them to have some kind of entertainment on base is just something special. And all the days leading up, there were just so many things that happened. It was great. Our cameraman Al was there. I would have loved to have done a game there, wouldn't you?
I think they'll probably do more events like that in the future. Maybe not there, but at other facilities. I think the reaction to it's been so positive, both by those who played in the game. And remember, this was a little bit of a hardship for the Braves and the Marlins. They had played 2 games in Atlanta. The previous 2 games, flew in just for that game. Yeah. And then the Marlins had to come here and play a day game, and not one of them complained one bit about it.
I know that when I was in college, Army and Navy were in the baseball conference, and visiting the cadets in West Point and having dinner with Navy guys and girls was just, I'll never forget it as long as I live. I remember my first thought is when I sat down and they had prime rib and potatoes, I was like, boy, our tax money is doing great. This food is good.
Barraclough, a hard thrower who has struggled with his control. Hansel Robles up in the Mets bullpen. Mets were down 6-0 in this game. Solo homers by d'Arnaud and Granderson have gotten them a little closer. A leadoff hit by Cabrera. And now Flores is 0 for 2 after his 6 for 6 2-home run day yesterday. And he hits this out to left center, closing on it is Yelich, but it's going to fall for a hit. Cabrera going first to third as the throw comes into second. And the Mets have runners at the corners with nobody out.
Well, Barraclough, who has a big arm, known for strikeouts, hangs a slider there, and Flores was all over it.
So the Mets with a chance to work their way a little bit closer in this game, with Brandon Nimmo coming up. Nimmo's hit the ball hard twice. Single to left, lined out to left, 1 for 2. Let's check in with Steve.
Guys, you were talking about the development of Brandon Nimmo. In a short time, Kevin Long has seen a couple of specific things. One, he's much more into his legs. He's driving the ball a lot more than he used to. And second of all, he's cut down on overthinking. Kevin Long said in the past you could see him looking at his feet, looking at his hands to make sure they were in the right place. Now it's just based on instinct.
Good job, Pete. 2-0 to Nimmo. And Real Muto's going to walk it out to Barraclough. Barraclough came into the day having walked 24 batters in 32 2/3 innings. So the Mets have put together a pretty good approach against him, making him throw strikes. Juan Nieves, the pitching coach for the Marlins, looking on. Nimmo starting his 8th game in the major leagues and a chance to do some major damage here. Cabrera at third, Flores at first, and nobody out. 2-0 count. d'Arnaud waiting on deck. Marlins bullpen is quiet behind Barraclough. And Nimmo gets jammed and fouls it off.
That's the pitch right there. When you're a more veteran hitter, you pigeonhole exactly where you want to hit it. So you want the ball away, middle away. That ball rode in on him, and that's a pitch you'd like to be able to take. But Nimmo couldn't there. Not that easy. You don't have that long to decide, but.
Two-1 from Barraclough, and he lays off the slider, and it's 3-1.
Oh, an interesting choice of pitches. Just threw a fastball right by him, in on the hands, and then comes back with a slider to get behind in the count.
Third straight at bat where Nimmo has worked the count to 3-1. This has been one of the things that the Mets have raved about Nimmo right from the time they signed him. His ability to work himself into positive counts. And he takes wide, ball 4, and the bases are loaded, and d'Arnaud will come to the plate as the tying run. So 2 singles and a walk, and the Mets have them loaded. And d'Arnaud, who homered his last time up, striding to the plate with nobody up in the Marlins bullpen.
Well, that was interesting. Don Mattingly had a discussion with Juan Nieves, almost like the message he wanted Nieves to deliver to Barraclough.
The Marlins have improved their bullpen by bringing in Fernando Rodney, who was having a great year in San Diego, to go with A.J. Ramos at the end of games. But they are lacking that quality lefty out of the bullpen who might have otherwise been in to face a guy like Nimmo. They have just the one lefty and the veteran Mike Dunn. So it's kind of limited Mattingly's ability to manipulate his bullpen.
Well, I think he picked Barraclough because he's a youngster. It's towards the bottom of the order, trying to make it a little easier for him, but he's gotten into instant trouble.
So d'Arnaud at the plate. Kelly Johnson has come out on deck to pinch hit. d'Arnaud hit his first home run of the year his last time up, out to right center field. Cabrera at third, Flores at second, Nimmo at first, and nobody out. And Barraclough with a deep breath. He's got a lot of hard work to do. And d'Arnaud lays off the first pitch slider, 1-0. Travis with 9 hits in his last 19 at bats. He has really hit his stride the last week since coming back from the disabled list.
Hits one up the middle. Echeverria gets to it. Doesn't get the out at second or at first as a run comes home. Dietrich was going to back up Echeverria, so he didn't go to the bag. Echeverria couldn't get to second in time and couldn't get the ball to first in time.
Well, that's a play where Dietrich has to go to the bag for the force. Echeverria tried to get there with his left foot, but that left foot was squashed under the foot of Nimmo, and by the time he got the ball to first base, too late.
So now it's a 6-3 game. The bases remain loaded for Kelly Johnson, who will pinch hit for Logan Verrett. So it's an infield hit for d'Arnaud to drive in his second run of the day. They could have conceivably called that a fielder's choice, because if Echeverria throws that ball to first, he could have gotten it out. But he chose to take it to second initially, and that cost him any play.
Energy and hustle by Nimmo to get there on that play.
So here's Johnson with the tying runs on base and nobody out. And Kelly takes a fastball for a strike. Johnson hit a 2-run homer to the opposite field yesterday as a pinch hitter, and then had an infield hit later in that game as well. Ball and a strike.
And the Mets did such a great job of keeping that line moving against John Lester. And yesterday's second inning, maybe the sixth inning will be the same.
Still nobody up in the Marlins bullpen. This is all on Barraclough, who's given up 3 hits and a walk to start the inning. And Johnson goes after the slider, almost swung out of his shoes, 1-2.
Yeah, he was trying to hit a homer. Well, you can see where Barraclough gets a lot of his strikeouts. He's got an awfully good slider.
Juan Nieves on the phone looking for help. 1-2 coming. Johnson bounces one to second, might be 2. Dietrich with the flip. Echeverria with the throw in time. And Echeverria was able to stay on the bag, and they turn the double play. A run comes home to make it 6-4.
Well, not
2 big outs.
Not a good toss there by Dietrich, but nice athletic play by Echeverria, who seems to make all the plays. Comes across, slides the right foot over the top of the bag, scraping it, and gets a double play.
So 2 runs are home in the inning. It's now 6-4 Miami. Nimmo is now at third with 2 out for Curtis Granderson, who homered his last time up. Tying run at the plate. And the slider misses for ball 1. Tom Kohler went 5, allowed 2 runs, 7 hits. Now Barraclough's given up 2 runs here in the 6th. Mets were down 6-0. It's now 6-4. And Barraclough behind 2-0. And David Phelps is on call in the Miami bullpen. So Robles will pitch the top of the 7th for New York. Nimmo at third and 2 out. 2-0 to Granderson. 3-0. Well, we know Curtis, if the conditions are right, likes to swing 3-0 in a spot where he can tie the game with one swing.
Boy, it's hard to swing 3-0 off this guy. All over the place, but you're right.
And he takes it. A strike. 3-1. Neil Walker would be next. Marlins 6 runs, 14 hits. The Mets 4 runs and 10 hits. We're in the 6th. 3-1 coming. And Granderson breaks his bat. Echeverria comes in to get it and throws him out to end the inning. But the Mets cash a couple to get a little bit closer. After 6, Miami 6, the Mets 4. And on this Independence Day, USAA honors those who have served and all of our service members at home and abroad. Lenny Dykstra talks about his rise, fall, and resurrection as he sits down with his former teammate Ron Darling in the SNY special. Len Dykstra, All or Nothing, Wednesday at 6, only on SNY. Well, the Mets have come back to make this ball game. They were down 6-0. It's now 6-4 Miami as we go to the 7th, and Hansel Robles will try and keep it right there.
Well, Robles has done a great job in any role he's been in this year, even extended work. But this is probably one of the more important relief appearances he'll have this season.
Last pitch Friday gave up a run when the Mets were working with a huge lead against Chicago. Giancarlo Stanton leads off in the 7th and takes low and in for ball 1. Stanton 1 for 3, singled and scored the first Miami run in the 2nd inning. Marlins got 3 in the 2nd, 3 in the 4th to knock out Matt Harvey. That bullpen has held them in check since. A third of an inning for Goodell, 2 innings for Verrett. And Stanton fouls it back. Ball and a strike. Derek Dietrich on deck, then Chris Johnson. 4th of July. Special day for all. Stanton won't chase the slider. 2-1. Giancarlo Stanton in the 2nd year of a 13-year, $325 million contract that carries through 2027. It's hard to even conceive of.
Right.
Skies one to shallow left. Cabrera out, Nimmo in, and Nimmo stays with it. 1 out.
We saw Stanton throw the bat. He missed the pitch there that he usually covers. Got to be so frustrating when you have been such a good hitter for so long and you've started so slowly. Look at that pitch on a tee. Never misses that pitch. He did here.
Robles fortunate to get that one back. You know, they always say about pitchers, he only made one mistake.
That's not true.
No, that was a mistake.
Yes, it was.
But he got away with it. Here's Dietrich, who has struck out all 3 at bats today, trying to avoid the dreaded golden sombrero. And all 3 times he has struck out on the same pitch on high fastballs. Robles falls behind him 2-0. For Hansel Robles, his 36th outing of the year. So he's on a pace to be in over 75 games. Took something off and got it in for a strike. 2-1.
2-0 changeup. Robles is evolving as we see him from last year.
You know, I think that happened during the course of those long relief outings that he had. He had 2 of them in a week.
It's almost like he refined his slider in the first one and his changeup in the second. Just from being out there knowing that he just couldn't throw it by people for 4 innings, 3 innings.
Well, he has saved the Mets bacon on a couple of occasions recently. Now he's fallen behind Dietrich 3-1 with Chris Johnson on deck. Dietrich with the 3 strikeouts today. First time this year he struck out 3 times. .3-1 coming, and it's on the inside corner. 3-2. Another changeup. .3-2 on the way. That's drilled into right field. A base hit for Dietrich. 98-mile-an-hour fastball from Robles, and Dietrich turns it around. First contact he's made all day, and the Marlins have their 15th hit. Chris Johnson has 3 of them. They've all gone to the opposite field. He's driven in 1. He's scored 2.
Well, one thing about Chris Johnson, he's a very intelligent hitter. He recognizes how you're going to approach him, and if you stay away, he's going to go that way. He has that talent.
That's blamed straight up on the infield at double play depth. Johnson goes after the high fastball. 0-1. Johnson filling in today for the regular first baseman Justin Bour, who's down with a sprained ankle the last couple of days. And he hasn't provided Bour's power, but he's had himself a fine day. He's even made a couple of nice defensive plays. That's a letter high strike, and it's 0-2. Danny Echeverria, the number 8 hitter, who's also had a nice day at the plate, waiting on deck. Matt Harvey got shellacked by the lower part of the Marlins batting order. Just missed inside. Johnson, Echeverria, and Kohler, the 7, 8, and 9 hitters, combined to go 5 for 6 against Harvey. Drove in 3 runs and scored 4. Dietrich at first and 1 out. 1-2 coming. Struck him out. First time Johnson's been retired today.
Well, Robles, 97 miles an hour, really just threw it by him. Split the heart of the plate. and Johnson couldn't catch up to it.
So 2 out. Dietrich still at first, and now Echeverria, who's 2 for 3 today. A single, a double. He's driven in 1. He's scored 2. Last time up, he had a sharp comebacker that Logan Verrett fielded between his legs, backwards.
And now for my next trick.
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull this rabbit out of a hat. Well, if Echeverria can keep this inning going, the quest for 3,000 for Ichiro Suzuki will resume. He's on deck to pinch hit. Oh, 2 to Echeverria. Ichiro just 11 hits shy of 3,000 for his major league career. He's already passed the milestone as the international hits champion this year. Robles trying to avoid facing him here in the 7th. They head on Echeverria 0-2. And he strikes him out. Back-to-back strikeouts for Hansel Robles to finish off the top of the 7th inning. So the Mets bullpen continues to function extremely well, and the Mets lead it 6-4 at the 7th inning stretch on this Independence Day. Let's keep it here in the ballpark for God Bless America.
This is Lieutenant Ann Wilkins Jefferson of Cleveland, Ohio, with the Navy Office of Information, East New York. Please rise and remove your caps for the singing of God Bless America.
Please welcome Master Sergeant Mary K. Messenger of the United States Army.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
Our thanks to Mary K. Messenger.
Chance to join us in the booth and call a Mets game on SNY. Just go to sny.tv/Kidcaster, where you can video audition online for a chance to win the SNY Kidcaster contest, presented by New York's 529 College Savings Program. Mets box score presented by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Home runs for Travis d'Arnaud and Curtis Granderson, hoping the Mets get back in this game, which they once trailed 6-0. Now 6-4 as they face David Phelps in the bottom of the 7th. Neil Walker leads off against the former Yankee and takes inside for ball 1.
Well, Phelps is a guy that started a lot and relieved in the beginning of his career, but he has turned himself into a strikeout machine out of the bullpen. 54 and 44 innings pitched so far this year. Loves to throw that fastball inside to the lefties.
He'll throw the cutter that he learned at the feet of Mariano Rivera.
That's right.
Walker today 0 for 2 and a walk. Cespedes and Loney to follow, 2, 3, and 4 in the Mets batting order. Home run for d'Arnaud in the 4th. Home run for Granderson in the 5th. RBI single for d'Arnaud. Another run came in on a double play in the 6th to get the Mets within range. Two balls and a strike to Walker. Barraclough had trouble in the 6th inning, gave up 2 runs and 3 hits after Tom Kohler allowed the first 2 runs over 5. Cespedes waiting to hit next. Not a single strikeout for the Marlins pitching staff so far this afternoon. That's unusual for the Mets, who have struck out the 5th most times of any team in the league.
Unusual for today's game.
Made pretty good contact all weekend against the Cubs and trying to carry that over into a new week. 2-2 to Walker with Cespedes on deck, and it's up and away, and Phelps runs a full count.
And 10 hits and 4 runs should put you in play when you have the talented young pitchers that the Mets have, but it wasn't Matt's day today.
Well, the Mets trying to pick him up. Three and 2 to the leadoff hitter Walker in the 7th, and it's inside, ball 4, and Walker walks for the 2nd time, and that'll get Cespedes to the plate as the tying run. SNY's Super Slow Motion brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. Close call on that ball 4 to Walker, but that's the same pitch that he walked on similarly close back in the 3rd against Kohler. And now Cespedes, who's 1 for 3 today, had a base hit to right field his last time up. Cespedes just 1 for 11 in his career against David Phelps. That's best home runner hitter at the plate and has the tying run in a 6-4 game. And he takes a strike.
That's the good cutter you were talking about, Derry.
Cespedes' base hit his last time up gives him an 8-game hitting streak. He's been swinging the bat very consistently over the last month. And he takes that the other way foul. 0-2. Let's try to come back in a game that they once trailed 6-0. The largest deficit the Mets have overcome to win all year is 3 runs.
Well, you'd like to see it here. What a build-up after that 4-game sweep of the Cubs. Continue it.
Phelps ahead on Cespedes 0-2. And he comes up and in, moving him back 1-2. James Loney waiting on deck. David Phelps, now 29 years old, came out of Notre Dame. Pitched 3 years for the Yankees, now in his 2nd year with the Marlins. One-two coming, and he crowds Cespedes again. Trying a front door cutter that time, and it's 2-2.
We saw it earlier in the game with Matt Harvey. And Phelps tries, but that pitch is not only in but up.
Is it reading too much into it to say that in these last few days every at bat seems to be approached with a little more urgency?
I don't think it's too much to say that. You know, you're a team that's facing not only the team that led your division before the Cubs, then you face the best team in the National League probably with the Giants in the Cubs.
Pulled down to third. Prado can't get it. It's down the line. Walker on his way to third. Yelich runs it down to the corner. Walker will be held at third. And Cespedes is aboard with a double. And the Mets have runners at second and third and nobody out.
A play we've seen Prado make before, but he couldn't make this one.
Well, it's almost like he couldn't get his glove down low enough. This ball did not come up. It stayed down and underneath the glove of Prado, who thought he should have had it when it got by him. And the Mets are in business. You know, what's interesting is that Walker was busting the whole way, and Tuffle did not put up the hold sign till real late, and that's when Walker shut it down. No outs. You don't want to get anyone thrown out at home.
So now the tying runs are in scoring position with nobody out for James Loney, who's hit the ball hard all day. He's lined out twice, last time into a double play, as Cespedes got doubled off first. Walker at third, Cespedes the tying run at second. The infield back for the Marlins. They'll concede one run on a ground ball. If you're Loney, you got to pull the ball here. Drive the 2 runs in if you can, but at least get the 1 run in and get Cespedes over to third.
Pull it or hit something deep enough, the runner on second can tag.
And Loney takes it at the knees for a strike. So just as Barraclough ran into trouble in the 6th, Phelps has found instant trouble here in the 7th. Just looks like a different offensive team right now. Loney's got great numbers against Phelps, 5 hits and 14 career at bats. And Phelps runs the fastball inside, a ball and a strike. Reason for hope. 1-1 to Loney. Again, it's in tight with the fastball, 2-1.
Well, Phelps had a relief appearance in late June against the Mets in Miami, where he gave up a couple of runs and 3 hits in an inning of work. So things have not come easy against the Metropolitans.
Been a good year for Phelps otherwise, as the 7th inning man now with Fernando Rodney in to take care of the 8th. 2-1 coming. And Loney takes it up and away, and now it's 3-1 as Dribble Cabrera waiting on deck. Quality at bat after quality at bat on this homestand. Walker walked to start the inning. Cespedes with a double. Loney trying to cash them in. He's got the count in his favor. And Loney hits one in the air down the left field line. That'll slice away and go foul. Full count.
Well, the pitch he tried on Walker that he walked him on was that fastball inside that starts at the left-handed hitter's hip. See if he tries to do that again to Loney.
Three-2 coming. And Loney with the emergency hack fouls it off.
It's almost like he was anticipating something soft and got the express.
Let's hit that out of the catcher's glove. It's a nice souvenir. Walker and Cespedes in scoring position with nobody out, representing the tying runs in a 6-4 game. Again, the 3-2. And again, foul. The last time the Mets came from 6 runs down to win was a game that Matt Harvey started last September in Washington.
Right.
Remember, they were down 7-1 in that game, and they came back to win 8-7. Harvey started today. Mets were down 6-0, and they have fought their way 2/3 of the way back.
They don't get many runs when he's in there. They're trying to get some after he leaves.
It's compensation. Can't get him wins, but at least they can avoid him losses. 8th pitch of the at bat to Loney, and he bounces one on the right side. That'll get a run in and advance the other runner as well. Good job by Loney. And this is now a 1-run game. Walker comes in to make it 6-5. And Cespedes now at third with the tying run with 1 out.
I think you're alluding to, Gary, in your question to me is professional at bats that the Mets have been taking through the Cubs series and here in this first game. Behind in the count, 3-2 count, gets a breaking ball and puts it into play.
Now the Marlins will bring the infield in to try and choke off the tying run at the plate as Asdrubal Cabrera steps in. Cabrera 2 for 3 today. He's scored a run. The infield in. And Cabrera takes outside, ball 1. Cespedes at third, so it doesn't take a very deep fly ball to get him home, but you got some good arms in that Marlins outfield.
Well, Ozuna has the best arm in center field. We talked about it before as Flores is on deck. Even yawning before he has to throw. Stanton has a great arm also in right field. Yelich has an accurate arm in left.
2-0 to Cabrera.
Phelps pitching behind just about everyone.
I know that you don't want to put the go-ahead run on base, but are you tempted if you're Phelps to pitch carefully to Cabrera with Flores a double play candidate next?
You know, it's not the worst thing that can happen if you're out there pitching. I mean, you try not to think negatively like that, but it's not the worst thing.
And that's inside, and now he's behind Cabrera 3-0. Well, it might come to pass whether he's thinking that way or not.
Yeah, right. When I think of Phelps, though, and the way he's morphed into a reliever, he's more of a strikeout guy now, not as much a ground ball guy.
Averaging 11 strikeouts per 9 innings this year. And now they're going to walk Cabrera intentionally after falling behind him 3-0, so they will set up the double play by issuing the intentional pass. And Flores, who had the huge day yesterday and had a base hit his last time up in this game, will come to bat with the tying and the go-ahead runs on base.
Well, a little outside the box for manager Don Mattingly, but really forced into that position by Phelps getting behind.
Well, normally you don't want to put the go-ahead run on base, but we've seen Terry Collins do that recently, and now we see Don Mattingly do it. And a chance for Flores to blow it up in his face. But you know what he's thinking. He's thinking that, you know, Phelps can get a ground ball from Flores and they can get their way out of the inning.
But you're also facing a guy who has a hit in this afternoon evening game and had 6 yesterday.
Cespedes the tying run at third. Cabrera at first with 1 out. 6-5 Miami, bottom of the 7th. Flores 1 for 3 today. 7 for 9 the last 2 days.
Double play depth up the middle. Pinched in at the corners.
Goes after a first pitch fastball, 0-1. Nick Whitgren is up in the bullpen for the Marlins. Flores getting a runner in from third with less than 2 outs. 6 out of 9 this year. That's good. Trying to get Cespedes in from third. Fouls back the fastball. 96 from Phelps, hardest pitch he's thrown today. And now it's 0-2.
That was a good swing there by Wilmer. He didn't throw him by him. He was right on it, just a little under it.
Well, Phelps would love the double play, but he'd be just as happy with a strikeout. Brandon Nimmo waiting on deck. Oh, 0-2 to Flores. And Wilmer fouls back another fastball. Wilmer has a home run in his career against Phelps. Nimmo waiting. Flores fighting from behind. And he takes the cutter inside. 1-2.
That's that cutter inside that he tries to bend over the inside corner of the plate. See, Real Muto had to move it a little bit. Maybe went around the plate. Good no call by Hallion.
It was a Jeter-esque take for Flores, wasn't it?
Bent in half.
Toss to first. Just keeping an eye on Cabrera, who's not a stolen base threat. Phelps already 27 pitches deep in this inning. Mets have made the Marlin pitchers work all day. Kohler, Barraclough, now Phelps. One-two coming. And Flores lifts it down the right field line. Over toward the sidewalk goes Stanton, but it's out of play.
Another good at bat by a Mets hitter. Young catcher trying to find the right sign to put down for Phelps. Going back to that slider. I always think when he puts it on the side like that, lays the 3 on the side, it's almost like that's the inside slider that he wants to throw. Went away with the last pitch. Coming back in.
1-2. And again, he missed inside with that cutter. 2-2. Outstanding at bat after outstanding at bat for the Mets against Phelps, who's about to throw his 30th pitch of the inning.
Back with the fastball up.
7th pitch of the at bat coming to Flores. And Wilmer socks it to center field. Ozuna's there. Cespedes tags. He'll come on home to score. And this game is tied. The Mets have come from 6 runs down to get even. It's 6-6.
Well, great job by Neil Walker and Cespedes to set the table, but maybe even a better job by James Loney getting them over, getting them in, and now Wilmer. And a big at bat after coming off 6 hits, delivers with a sacrifice fly. No doubt about this. Cespedes has too much speed. Ozuna doesn't even try to throw home, just into second base.
So the Mets have scored in 4 straight innings. They've tied the game at 6. Here's Nimmo going after the first pitch cutter. 0-1. Brandon is 1 for 2 and a walk today. He's got Cabrera at first with 2 out. The Marlins 6 runs, 15 hits. The Mets 6 runs, 11 hits. Matt Harvey's now off the hook. Tom Kohler can no longer win. It's in the hands of the bullpens. And the Mets bullpen has been stellar so far. Addison Reed getting ready for the 8th. And Nimmo takes it low. Ball and a strike. Marlins, on the other hand, have had a tough row for their bullpen. Barraclough gave up 2 runs in the 6th, and now Phelps has been tagged for 2 in the 7th. Travis d'Arnaud, who has a home run today, waiting on deck. And Nimmo watches a strike on the outside corner, 1-2.
That's the location that Phelps has been looking for against Flores. That little cutter inside outside there. Of course, the Nimmo just moves about 4 to 6 inches right over that outside corner.
Veteran David Phelps facing the rookie Brandon Nimmo. 1-2. Fouled away. 94-mile-an-hour fastball, and the Nimmo hangs in there. Pirates have won their 5th in a row. Gregory Polanco hit 2 home runs in the Pirates' 4-2 win over the Cardinals. Phillies won again today. They beat the Braves 8-2. Nationals lost earlier. Cabrera hopping a little on that bag. Remember, he has a sore knee that kept him out of the lineup last night. And he's flexing that leg. One-two coming. Cabrera runs. The pitch is high and no throw. Cabrera got a huge jump and steals his first base of the year. And he moves the go-ahead run to second base.
I wonder if that was a little ploy, the limping at first base with his knee, because he takes off on the next pitch. Phelps is very slow to the plate, so Cabrera and the Mets take advantage of that.
And Real Muto was completely flat-footed as he caught that ball. Had no recognition that Cabrera had gone. So now a base hit could give the Mets their first lead of the day. It's the Mets' first stolen base in 8 days. And just their 16th in 82 games this year. 2-2 to Nimmo. And Brandon goes down on strikes to end the inning. But the Mets get even. RBIs for Loney and Flores. Mets come from 6 down to tie. 6-6 going to the 8th. Twisted tea, the hard iced tea that tastes like real iced tea. It's the 4th of July, and on this day, 150 million hot dogs are expected to be consumed. Not all by Joey Chestnut.
He only had 70 in 10 minutes.
Well, we've got a 6-6 game as we start the 8th inning, and the ageless Ichiro Suzuki just 11 hits shy of 3,000 for his career. Will step in against Hansel Robles. Addison Reed is ready to go, it would appear, but Robles, who pitched a scoreless 7th, stays on to start the 8th.
Just quick pitched Ichiro while he was in mid swinging of the bat.
Ichiro's got that little routine with the shoulder grab and the pointing of the bat, and Robles able to take advantage of it. Once you're settled in the batter's box, you're fair game.
That's right.
Robles ahead on Suzuki 0-2, and he fouls off the fastball. JT Realmuto on deck, and then Martin Prado. We see where Ichiro stands on the all-time list, and that doesn't even factor in all the hits he had in Japan. He is a legend. That's drilled into right center field, and Ichiro is now 10 shy of 3,000. He's motoring for second, and he will pull in there with a leadoff double. Hit number 2,990.
Well, he could just rake all fastballs by Robles. That ball right on the outside corner, belt high, and he's able to hit that in the gap. Remarkable hitter.
And a huge hit in this game because it puts the go-ahead run at second base with nobody out. So now JT Realmuto, who's already 4 for 4 in this game, will step in. He's singled twice to center, once to left and once to right. Ichiro's not as fast as he once was at age 42, but he can still run a little bit. And Realmuto being asked to bunt. It's 4 for 4, and he's being asked to bunt.
Yeah, I don't like that play. He's having one of those days.
Jerry Blevins, Jerry's Familia up. Now that tells me that when Addison Reed got up, for some reason he couldn't get loose. Remember, Reed pitched an inning and a third night before last, struck out 4, and he got up, and he's not up anymore. Close play as Ichiro went back in standing.
You know, Addison's velocity hasn't been there either. He's used a lot of sliders on Saturday. That play was close because Robles threw it right into the back of Ichiro.
Question is, how early would Terry be willing to bring in Familia in a tie game in the 8th inning? And Realmuto gives away the bunt before Robles makes the turn. So now if you're the Marlins, do you switch off?
Well, Mattingly trying to, I mean, obviously just trying to win the game here in this inning.
And he's still bunting. Pops up the bunt, and Darno can't get to it, and it's 1-1. Martin Prado is at a rough day at the plate and in the field, waiting on deck. Suzuki's hit is the 16th for the Marlins this afternoon. One shy of the most the Mets have given up in a game this year. Corners crash. Realmuto takes up and in. 2-1.
Well, James Loney's coming in hard, but his intent is to bunt this to third base. Now 4 hits in a game, 2-1 count. I'm letting Realmuto swing the bat.
Boy, I would have been let him just swing
That's right.
the whole way. Certainly capable of making his approach to the right side. 2-1 now, and he's still bunting. And Robles is now behind in the count, 3-1. So it's getting a little more dangerous by the moment for Hansel.
It usually doesn't happen at this level, but I've seen a couple of pitchers when batters get in the bunting position, have a hard time throwing strikes. Throws them off. Don't ask me why.
Loney's still in looking for the bunt. 3-1 to Real Muto with Ichiro at second and nobody out. Real Muto showing bunt, and he bunts it foul. 3-2. Boy, this is a very interesting decision by Don Mattingly to go down the line with the bunt with his leadoff hitter who's 4 for 4 today.
I think you and I agree. I certainly would have had Realmuto swinging from the beginning, but once he had him bunting, he has not been able to execute.
And then you get to 3-1. So will he bunt 3-2, or is he finally going to let him hit?
He's swinging here.
Robles could certainly use a strikeout. 3-2 to Realmuto, and he comes inside and walks him. And now the Marlins have the first 2 men on. Realmuto reaches base for the 5th time today. And you would have to assume if Realmuto is bunting that Prado will be as well.
Yes.
With Yelich and Ozuna behind him.
Prado only hit into 1 double play today. It should have been 2.
Right. Get the comebacker to Harvey that he threw wildly to the plate. That ended up costing him 3 runs in the 4th inning. Prado's 0 for 4 today. So Robles, who pitched an effective 7th, in big trouble here in the 8th in a 6-6 game. And Prado squares and pushes the bunt foul. Fernando Rodney, recently acquired from the Padres, now serving as the Marlins setup man. He's getting ready for the bottom of the 8th.
You know, watching major league players attempt to bunt has become one of the ugliest parts of this game. It really has.
Ichiro at second, Realmuto at first with nobody out. Prado again showing bunt. And bunts it. Loney has a play at third, and he gets the force there. The throw to first, in time, double play. Loney aggressive on the charge, and he starts the 3-5-4 double play, 2 men down.
Well, that was Hernandez-esque. Keith Hernandez used to make this play all the time. Aggressive by Loney, fires it over the Wilmer, and it took Prado a while to get out of the box after he bunted that baseball, and he had to run around d'Arnaud also. What a big defensive play by the Mets.
So 2 out. Realmuto winds up at second. Terry Collins to the mound. You got Christian Yelich coming up, and Jerry Blevins is going to come in to face the left-hand batter. Big job by the Mets infield, led by Loney. Now the call to the bullpen. Pitching change brought to you by Empire City Casino. for Jerry Blevins as he comes in to face Christian Yelich.
The number you only care about is the one at the bottom. 23 of 25 inherited runners stranded. Outstanding number by Blevins.
Yelich is 2 for 4 today. He's driven in 2 runs. Real Muto at second with 2 out, and Blevins throws the fastball for a strike. Keeps surprising those left-hand hitters with first pitch fastballs.
He's been throwing a lot of fastballs too.
Yelich is 2 for 6 in his career against Blevins. Robles worked an inning and 2/3. Leaves a runner at second base for Blevins in a 6-6 game in the 8th. Real Muto takes off, and d'Arnaud has to block it. Can't make a throw, and now that go-ahead run is at third. Real Muto with his 7th stolen base of the year.
Boy, there was a danger there with Real Muto running. If that ball gets by away from d'Arnaud, he could have came all the way in and scored. Nice job by Travis.
Ball and a strike to Yelich. With the go-ahead run 90 feet away. And Yelich jumps back. 2-1. Marcelo Zuna on deck. Jerry's Familia continuing to throw in the bullpen. So if Yelich keeps the inning going, if it was still a tie game at that point, you'd have to think Familia. Meanwhile, Fernando Rodney getting ready for the Marlins. Two-one coming, and the fastball just missed. 3-1.
We weren't talking about the lefty-lefty matchup, but Yelich doesn't give too much up against lefties.
Last time out, Blevins was brought in to face Jason Hayward Saturday night and walked him. He's behind on Yelich 3-1. Yelich takes a rip, and it's 3-2.
Belt high, but he got it on the corner.
Got a little more life on that fastball too than earlier in the year. Line the other way. Foul. Just or foul.
He can hit a pitcher's pitch, and he almost keeps it fair down the left field line.
Couple of feet from another Marlins lead. We found him. Seventh pitch of the at bat from Blevins to Yelich. Struck him out. Big time strikeout for Jerry Blevins to strand the go-ahead run at third. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by USAA Insurance, banking and investments tailored for the military community. By the NYU SPS Masters in Sports Business, and by the State Farm agent of the game, Pat Cauley of Glendale. Contact Pat at patcauley.org. Fernando Rodney, recently acquired from the Padres, will make his third appearance for Miami.
Look at that ERA, 0.29 for Fernando Rodney, 17 for 17 in save opportunities, and here to shore up that bullpen, which has been a little shaky here for the Marlins.
Marlins have facial hair rules, so Rodney's had to shave his goatee. They let him keep his mustache, but he still has his hat tilted to the side, as he has for his entire career. 39-year-old, now with his 7th different major league team. Travis d'Arnaud will lead off the bottom of the 8th against him. d'Arnaud has driven in 2 runs today with a home run and an infield hit. Mets faced Rodney earlier this year when they played the Padres in San Diego. And the first pitch changeup in for a strike.
Was the home run by d'Arnaud in the 4th inning to right center field. First one of the year.
Up the middle, Echeverria with a slide. He can't make a play, and d'Arnaud's got another base hit. 3rd hit of the day for d'Arnaud, and the Mets have the tie-breaking run aboard.
Well, the hits are coming in bushels now for d'Arnaud. Echeverria, who covers so much ground, and another one that just snuck under the leather.
For Travis d'Arnaud, that's his 11th hit in his last 21 at-bats. Don't know if Echeverria would have had a play with if he got it cleanly, but we'll never know. Now Lagares, and we'll see if he's asked to bunt after 2 Marlins failed to cleanly get a bunt down. You got Granderson and Walker behind him. Prado's in on the grass at 3rd looking for the bunt. Takes it outside, 1-0. No pinch runner for d'Arnaud. You've got Reynolds and De Aza who could pinch run sitting on the bench. Excuse me, De Aza was already used.
Yeah. Fly ball to right field.
Right. So it's Reynolds who would be available to pinch run, or a pitcher.
Lagares gets a nice bunt down. Well executed. Prado wide throw, and he's. Was he on the bag? No, he dropped the ball, and Lagares is safe. Dietrich trying to stay on the bag, and the first base umpire, Phil Cuzzy, said he did not retain possession of the ball.
Boy, I mean, I think he kept possession of the ball.
Yes, he did.
I mean, absolutely.
Did
he? His foot on the bag.
Okay, let's watch the ball. Does it hit the ground?
Oh, good call by Cuzzy then. I'm wrong.
Looked like the ground might have pushed the ball back into the glove, which in Cuzzy's view was not a clean catch. He definitely kept his foot on the bag.
So he's feeling that it was a snow cone catch, but it was made because hitting the ground pushed that ball back into the mitt.
That's what Cuzzy is ruling, and we'll see whether the replay umpires agree. Call the plan to review brought to you by Mazda Driving Matters. Gary Cederstrom and Jeff Kellogg, who overturned a call earlier in the game, will have the view.
That's not an easy call by Cuzzy, but it was pretty close.
I'm not sure if it's the right call. Did the ball hit the ground or did the glove hit the ground? Because if the leather hit the ground,
then it's fine.
Then it's fine. But if the ball hit the ground and in the umpire's view was pushed back into the glove, then it's the right call. That's a really hard one.
Okay, from this angle, to me, it looks like the ball does hit the ground. See the ball? I mean, to me, from that angle, it looks like the ball hits the ground. The leather does too.
But it didn't look like the ball moved.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. If the ball would have stayed in the glove anyway without the help from the ground, is it still not a catch? I'm not sure.
It's a hard call. I mean, can't criticize Cuzzy because that's what he saw. He saw the ball hitting the ground, and in his estimation, helped Dietrich catch that.
Well, in any event, it was a great bunt by Lagares that moves the go-ahead run to second base. The question is whether Lagares is going to be safe as well. But either way, d'Arnaud will be at second base. Whether with no outs or 1 out, we'll know soon.
Well, if they call him out at first, what a play by Dietrich, by the way.
Meanwhile, Prado, who had the ball go under his glove on the Cespedes double in the 7th, then couldn't get a clean bunt down into a double play in the last half inning, this time the wide throw.
He's not moving very well.
So he has had himself a very rough afternoon. 0 for 5 at the plate, couple of tough plays in the field, and here's that play again.
Because he's in position to make the call.
Maybe the ball did move. I can't tell, Ronnie.
So to me, there was a little wobble in the ball. I don't know if it changed positions in the glove, but I could see how Phil Cuzzy saw that.
Yeah, I don't know how you rule on this, even if you see it as cleanly as we just did. I'm not sure what the right call is.
That's right.
Does the ball have to tangibly move, or is it enough for the ball just to have touched the ground in order to make it a non-catch?
I know if I was calling that play, once I see the ball hit the ground simultaneously as he's catching the ball, to me that would be an indication that it's not a catch, in my estimation of what a play is, what a catch is, and what a non-catch is.
Yeah. Phil Cuzzy, who made the call on the right, Tom Hallion, the crew chief, on the left, waiting for the call from Chelsea. Gary Cedarstrom's crew and Jeff Kellogg's crew have had an interesting day. They've already overturned one call in favor of the Marlins that ended up costing the Mets a couple of runs. That appeared to be the correct call back in the 2nd inning.
I can see this taking some time because they're just trying to decide what the right call is and what they see also.
Well, from that angle, you can't tell, because all you see is the leather hit in the ground. The question is whether the ball hit the ground and whether that made it a non-catch. Now we'll find out. And they're going to say that it was a clean catch, out at first. So a tremendous play by Dietrich. So that's the first out of the inning, and another call goes the Marlins' way from the replay booth. So it's a 5-4 sacrifice for Lagares, and now the Mets have the go-ahead run at second with 1 out.
Just a hard call to change. You know what I'm saying, Gary? Called safe on the field.
Took nearly 4 minutes of review time for them to figure that out, and now here's Granderson, who's 1 for 4, a home run back in the 5th. Keep in mind that Fernando Rodney has given up 1 earned run all season. This is his 31st appearance. He had 28 for San Diego, his 2nd appearance as a Marlin. d'Arnaud's hit is the first hit that he's given up as a Marlin. And d'Arnaud's at second with 1 out. Granderson rips one down the line, but foul. And now it's 0-2.
Curtis just a little quick on that changeup. I mean, Rodney has as good a changeup as there is in the game. He's got that 10 to 12 mile an hour differential between his fastball and that changeup.
Granderson 0 for 5 in his career against Rodney. d'Arnaud not getting much of a lead at second with Echeverria right behind him. And Granderson takes low in with the fastball, 1-2. Neil Walker waiting on deck. Anyway, talking about the change of fortunes for Travis d'Arnaud. Travis is 11 for his last 21. Before that, he was 11 for 61. So he has turned things completely around in his return from the disabled list, going back to his old stance. Granderson pops one foul, and that'll go out of play. Mets cashed in against the first 2 Marlins relievers. They got 2 runs in the 6th against Barraclough, 2 more to tie it in the 7th against Phelps. And now trying to fashion a go-ahead run here in the 8th against Rodney. Granderson lifts one to center. Ozuna drifting back, has it measured, tagging is d'Arnaud. Ozuna's got it. d'Arnaud's going to stay put. 2 out.
The threat of Ozuna's arm stopped d'Arnaud in his tracks. Randy just missed that one. Gets behind it, proper technique. Could have caught it on his right side and made it perfect, but makes up for it with that great arm. Darnell's thinking about it. Right here he's tagging, but as soon as he sees Ozuna running in with that momentum, that stopped him in his tracks.
So it's left to Neil Walker with the go-ahead run at second and 2 out. Walker has walked twice, otherwise 0 for 2 today. And Neil checks his swing on the high fastball and stopped it in time, 1-0. Walker's only had 1 at bat in his career against Rodney, 0 for 1. Mets had 22 hits yesterday, 12 more today. They need 1 big one right now. And Walker fouls back the changeup, 1-1. Yoenis Cespedes would be next. Familia getting ready for the 9th. Going into Walker at 98 from Rodney. Remember, he's 39 years old.
98, 81 with the changeup, 17-mile-an-hour difference.
Who does that?
That's why no one scores off him. But the Mets looking to change that.
Well, you better guess right. Otherwise, you can look foolish.
Well, Neil just missed the changeup on the second pitch down the middle. Rodney always pitches backwards. You expect a changeup here.
And the fastball low. Now it's 3-1. Well, the Mets would adore getting Cespedes to the plate here, and Rodney, I'm sure, would rather deal with Walker, but now he's behind him 3-1. Cespedes has good numbers against Rodney as well. Darno at second and 2 out, and Walker fouls it back. Change up on 3-1, and now it's a full count. To Neil Walker, and it's outside, and Cespedes will come to bat. Walker walks for the 3rd time today. And now Cespedes is 2 for 4 today, a single and a double, and he's 4 for 7 with a home run, or 3 for 7 with a home run in his career against Rodney. Either way, he's had some success where many others have not against this quality right-hander.
Well, so many times last year, Cespedes got the hit, which changed the Mets' season. Looking for him to do that again this season. This would be one of those opportunities.
2 out, 2 on, tie game, 8th inning. And he takes the fastball in tight. 1-0.
He hits him so well because he's so adept at hitting the changeup, breaking pitches.
Well, teams have been getting Cespedes out with high fastballs. See if that's what Rodney stays with. And he bounces the changeup, and it's 2-0. Darno at second. Walker at first, 2 down. Mets were down 6-0 in this game. They've scored in each of the last 4 innings, trying to add a 5th. Two 2-0 to Cespedes with Loney on deck. And he swings and fouls back the fastball, 2-1. 39-year-old Fernando Rodney brought in to try and shore up the Marlins bullpen, and in the biggest spot he's been in since joining the Marlins. 2-1 coming. Good fastball, 2-2 to Cespedes.
Had a lot of movement on that pitch. Sinking action by Rodney.
Rick Rinn up in the Marlins bullpen. Familia in the Mets bullpen getting ready for the ninth. 2 on, 2 out, 2-2 to Cespedes.
And he cracks one toward the gap in right center. Extra base hit. The Mets take the lead. Darno is in. Walker being waved home. Walker will score. A 2-run double for Cespedes. Behind 6-0, the Mets now lead it 8-6.
Well, they've been waiting for Cespedes all year to provide exactly the jolt he provided last season. And after swinging and missing through a fastball the pitch prior, he jumps all over this fastball away and drives in the go-ahead runs.
Fernando Rodney had allowed 1 earned run this season. He gives up 2 on 1 swing of the bat to Yoenis Cespedes, a 2-out, 2-run double to bring the Mets all the way from 6-0 down to 8-6 in front. And the Mets have not lost with the captain back in the house.
Rodney was brought in to shore up this Miami bullpen. They've given up 6 runs.
0-2 to Loney. It was a very hard 1 for 4 today. Drove in a run with a ground out his last time up that set up the tying rally.
One of the most important at bats for the night for the Mets was his ground out to second base.
Not only brought in a run, but moved the tying run to third, and then Flores got Cespedes home with a sac fly. Loney lays off the changeup, and it's 1-2. Loney is 2 for 4 in his career against Rodney. Cespedes now 4 for 8 with that 2-run double. And now Familia will have the save chance in the ninth, with the Mets having rallied from 6 runs down. It would be their biggest comeback win of the year. In the dirt, 2-2. All started with Travis d'Arnaud, an infield single, his 3rd hit of the game. Beautiful sacrifice by Lagares, and then with 2 out, a walk to Walker, and Cespedes delivered a pair. And Familia, who's been perfect in save opportunities this year, will go for number 29 in the ninth. Loney stays alive.
You know, we talked about the offense yesterday, Gary, keeping the line moving. You also want to keep the line moving when you have a warm streak, defeating the Cubs 4 straight.
Well, the other piece to this is the performance of the Mets bullpen, which has been spectacular. After Matt Harvey went just 3 2/3. Loney strikes out on the changeup, and that ends the inning. But the Mets grab the lead. A game they trailed by 6, they now lead by 2. Cespedes with a huge hit, his 49th and 50th runs batted into the year, and the Mets take an 8-6 lead into the 9th inning at Citi Field. That is an understatement by Mr. Apple. Quality at bat after quality at bat, and it results in Cespedes getting the big hit. He moves to left. Juan Lagares stays in center, and Jeurys Familia goes for save number 29.
Yeah, 28 for 28 and 44 straight, which is the longest in team history and the longest currently in major leagues.
Had the night off last night. Got his 28th save on Saturday against the Cubs. Marcell Ozuna leads off the ninth for the Marlins, and he takes the slider down for ball one. Ozuna is 1 for 4 today. Stanton and Dietrich to follow. The Marlins with 16 hits today. They had a 6-0 lead, but the Mets scoring in 5 straight innings to take the lead. And while they were doing that, the bullpen has been spectacular. Goodell, Verrett, Robles, and Blevins combining for 4 1/3 scoreless innings. Familia behind on Ozuna 2-0. And he misses high, and now it's 3-0 with Stanton on deck. And that's the last thing you want, is to get Stanton to the plate as the tying run.
See the veteran Cabrera coming in to have a chat with Familia. Usually the infielders, when they come in, don't say too much other than, hey, you got good stuff, be aggressive, go after him.
Ozuna 3 for 10 in his career against Familia, who's had better fortune against Stanton. And there's a strike, 3-1. Mets have used 6 pitchers today. Harvey lasted just 3 2/3, but he has been bailed out by the bullpen and the bats. Inside, ball 4, and Ozuna's on with a leadoff walk, and that'll get Stanton to the play as the tying run, so it's not over yet. Second walk for Met pitching today. Stanton 1 for 4 today, a single. He scored a run back in the second. He's 1 for 9 in his career against Familia. Holding Ozuna to keep the double play in order. Stanton takes a fast strike.
It's better. Pour in that 4-seamer early in the count. Then you can go to that tough sinker.
Eric Dietrich waits on deck. And Stanton swings at the sinker, and it's 0-2.
Boy, this front foot stepping in the bucket.
That's the pitch that has made Familia what he is. 0-2. One end of the sinker. In that game against the Cubs, that first game of the series Thursday night, where they had second and third and nobody out, and he just threw sinker after sinker to keep the Cubs off the board. One-two coming to Stanton. 2-2.
Difference is that there were younger hitters that were up for Chicago. They were swinging at all of those sinkers. Ozuna did not. Stanton's trying not to.
Now the 2-2. Bangs it off his leg, a foul ball. Not broken as bad as he did.
You know what's interesting, with sometimes the pitcher's pitch is better than the strength of the hitter. Stanton is a down and in, down middle kind of hitter. That's his strength. And Familia's going right into it.
Would you mix in a slider here?
I'd bounce one. But 2-2.
We've seen him chase the slider already today. Two coming. And he struck him out with a slider. One man down.
You know, when you get him opened up inside and he's worried about inside, then it just opens up for any kind of spinning ball in the dirt. And Familia, perfect location. Because at 3-2, if he didn't swing, go right back to the sinker.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Derek Dietrich. Dietrich is 1 for 4 tonight. Struck out his first 3 times up. Then he singled to right his last time. Dietrich 2 for 2 in his career against Familia. The sinker away for ball 1. Chris Johnson, the on-deck batter. Oh, we might see Justin Bour make his way into the on-deck circle. He's got that sprained ankle, but no sign of him. 1-0 to Dietrich. And that's in at the knees for a strike. 1-1.
Good pitch there. Have to get back in the count now. 1-1.
29 hits in this game. 16 for the Marlins, 13 for the Mets. But the Mets lead 8-6 in the ninth. 1 out, 1 on, 1-1 to Dietrich. And that skips into Darno at 2-1. Coming up tonight at 10:30, it's Geico Sports Night. Highlights from all the July 4th baseball. Huge NBA news with Kevin Durant signing with the Warriors. And then there's the hot dogs.
That's going to make Sports Night.
$150 million.
Oh, see.
2-1 to Dietrich. Good slider. 2-2.
Boy, behind in the count and throws that slider for a strike. Always important to give the hitter a different look. You can't always stay with the same pitch.
Two coming. Now away.
Even Familia, with the good sinker ball he has, Dietrich has such a hole in his swing up that he went with the four-seamer there and almost got it past him. See Darno up off his haunches. And the latest of swings by Dietrich.
To go up there again?
Yeah, that's his hole. That's where he strikes out.
Struck out 3 times earlier today, twice against Harvey, once against Barrett that way. Again, the 2-2. Slider hit to short. Cabrera can't get it. It's into center field. Ozuna will go to third. And Dietrich is aboard with a base hit that just got by Cabrera. And now the tying runs are on base with 1 out.
What a rebound for Dietrich. To see that ball just off the glove of Cabrera. You're so used to him making every single play. You anticipated he'd make that one. But off the leather, and now first and third for the Marlins.
So now Chris Johnson, who has 3 hits today, all 3 have gone to right field. Struck out his last time up against Hansel Robles in the 7th. He bats with the tying runs on and 1 out. 17 hits now for the Marlins.
If you're familiar, just ignore Ozuna. It's just a pest.
A.J. Ramos, the Marlins closer, getting up in case he's needed. Familia hoping for a ground ball double play here. And Johnson swings at the first sinker, 0-1. Dietrich now 3 for 3 in his career against Familia. Ozuna at third, Dietrich at first with 1 out. Johnson is 0 for 6 in his career against Jerry's. Tight. 1-1. Danny Echeverria, the number 8 hitter, waiting on deck. These have been some fascinating games to watch on this homestand. And another one today. That's showing great resilience after trailing by 6. Now Familia trying to seal the deal. But it's not coming easily. Johnson goes after one. out of the strike zone. It's 1-2.
Ball was supposed to be low and in. It was low and away. And Johnson swinging over the top.
Met pitchers have 10 strikeouts this afternoon. Going in 2-2. Hard-working inning for Familia, who had the day off yesterday. Had a quick inning on Saturday night, but here 21 pitches deep and still a lot of work to do. Two and 2 to Chris Johnson.
To shortstop, Cabrera's got it. Steps, fires, and the ball game is over. The Mets come from 6 runs down on Independence Day to beat the Marlins for their 5th straight win. Cespedes with the big hit. The Mets bullpen was tremendous for 5 1/3 with Familia finishing it up and keeping his ledger perfect for the season as the Mets win this one 8-6, their biggest comeback of the year.
You know, the tipping point for last season maybe was the walk-off home run by Wilmer Flores. This, when you look back at it later, might be the tipping point game for this ball club. Down 6-0. Relief corps did their work instead of Harvey. And then the offense, just so many big things happen with a number of hits, but little things. 2 outs, 2 strikes. James Loney hit a ground ball to second to move runners over.
Game summary presented by Tito's Handmade Vodka, and that may be the biggest thing of all, that the Mets did get a couple of home runs, but scored 6 runs without benefit of the home run to come from behind and win this game 8-6. For every Mets win, the Mets organization is proud to contribute $2,500 to Northwell Health and the Cass Institute for Women's Health. For more information, visit northwellhealth.com/KIWH. This win brings the total contribution so far this season to $112,500. Mets win a thriller from the Marlins for their 5th straight. 8-6 the final on the 4th of July. Big win for the Mets. And Jerry's Familia finishing it off. More from Flushing coming right up.